Network Traffic Report from the Schroeder's Towing Traffic Center. Broken down and need a tow or even free signage for your lot? Dial pound 250 and use keyword tow truck today.
All right, one last look at your traffic and weather for your ride in on this Wednesday morning. A couple accidents to report. One at Columbia Highway and West Main Street, and then one more at Hugie and Taylor. Today, high of 88 with some clouds. Tomorrow, 80 with some showers in the morning. There's your traffic and weather for your ride in on your Wednesday morning here on The Game.
Point with Tyler Head and Jack Veltri.
And the kick is good.
Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network.
Oh, 9 o'clock on your Wednesday morning. Welcome in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Veltri along with you, navigating you through the middle part of your week. Unfortunately, Jack, unlike May the 4th be with you, unlike Cinco de Mayo, I don't have anything clever, significant for May the 6th. You got anything for me?
I think it's just May 6th. I don't think... Yeah, I'm not really thinking there's many things left that you could put. There probably is a national day or something today, but no idea what it would be. How they have those random national I don't know, Friendship Day or something like that, like that stuff.
I learned. So I used to work in music radio alongside doing sports radio back in Athens. I worked for a adult contemporary station, 80s, 90s now. So, I would always look up whatever the national day it was, because that was always something I could bring up on air that was very casual and, people might be interested in. And, man, there's a day for everything. And how we determine what day is National Donut Day and what day is National Cupcake Day, I don't know who was put in charge of that, but it's very random.
Yes, that's what I mean. It's very random. And I'm sure today is national whatever day it is absolutely completely random. Maybe that's something we'll have to look up during the break and mention. But yeah, I got nothing for May the 6th, so it's just May the 6th, I guess.
Yeah, you know what? Today could probably be like National Hangover Day if you celebrated Cinco de Mayo a little too hard yesterday.
Yeah. Did you get into any Cinco de Mayo fun or no?
I did not. Honestly, it's one of those things, and my wife, our neighbor sold us a car, so we were busy dealing with all that yesterday. So I didn't even, outside of talking about it on the show yesterday, I didn't even think about it being Cinco de Mayo until we drove past a Mexican restaurant in Lexington, and it was obviously packed. I'm like, oh yeah, it is Cinco de Mayo. That's probably a pretty happening spot tonight.
Yeah, I asked Caroline if she wanted to go and get Mexican yesterday, and she's like, oh, we can go to Chili's. I'm like, it is Tex-Mex. We ended up just cooking, but yeah, it's. I'm sure the Mexican restaurants yesterday were flooded with people.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, I'm never mad about going to Chili's, man.
No, Chili's is so good, man.
Apparently today there's multiple days: National Beverage Day, National Skilled Trades Day, National Nurses Day, National Bike to School Day. Well, there you go. If you want to celebrate any of those.
Yeah. You know what this week really is, though? Shout out to all the teachers out there for Teacher Appreciation Week. And Caroline is one of them. My mom's a teacher. So, it's Teacher Appreciation Week. We can use that. I mean, I think that's a pretty good way to fill the spot for today.
And you know what? Teachers should be celebrated always, not just for a day or a week.
Yes, and they should be paid more. There you go.
There you go. We'll get into some Gamecock baseball discussion in just a second. But first, as always, it's 9 o'clock. Time for our Sandstorm Pick-Me-Up.
Time to get hyped. Here's your 9 a.m. Sandstorm, sponsored by George Sink Injury Lawyers. Just call all 9
It is time for your 9 a.m. Sandstorm Pick Me Up, brought to you by South Carolina's largest injury law firm, George Sink Injury Lawyers. If you've been hurt in the car or at work, call 803-ALL-9s today. So typically on Wednesdays, we'd come in here and we'd be talking about a midweek baseball game for Carolina. They would have played last night. None this week. Again, they'll be back in action this weekend taking on Alabama. And with the way things have been going lately, Jack, I have a really bad feeling we'll be talking about another probably bad loss last night. So at least for today, we don't have to focus on that.
I think it's for the best they didn't have a midweek game. Yeah, and honestly, you're seeing it around the country. Like, a lot of teams are canceling these games for, quote unquote rainouts. But in reality, it's like teams don't want to hurt their RPI at this point in the year. So you'll see a lot of teams that are playing bad teams yesterday, and they're like, yeah, let's just cancel and not play that game. So, but for South Carolina, there was no midweek game scheduled for this week anyhow, so no need to worry about any cancellations or anything. It is definitely for the best that they have a few days off here because in reality, they really went through what was just an abysmal weekend, man. And I think they finally reached a breaking point where when Monty Lee first took over, he spoke so much about how there's going to be no negativity. You have to have fun, all these sort of things. Like, you can't carry a bad attitude, essentially.
Right.
Well, the one word I continuously heard this week was frustration. And that the players, their attitude kind of changed a little bit during the final innings of Sunday's game. I think we've reached the point where South Carolina, I think they know things are not going well right now. Obviously, it's not fun to get swept. Like, you cannot find any joy in that. But I think South Carolina needs these next few days to kind of just reset mentally. You're back at home, one more homestand to go. You kind of just, like Monty told me the other day, they're just trying to find something to play for right now. And if it's not going to be the postseason, I mean, shoot, I don't even know if they really know this, but they are potentially trying to play for not having the worst record now in program history because, last year's team, they went 28-29, and that was the worst season in program history. And you got 27 losses right now. So I think you're trying to avoid that. But I think more so than that, I don't think they're really focused on that. I think it's more so just they're trying to play better baseball here down the stretch.
Yeah, and look, for anybody that's ever played sports at the Pee-wee level, high school level, whatever it may be, when you play on a bad team, you can only sustain that belief so long, especially as you get towards the end of the year. You're not playing for championships or playoffs or anything like that. A lot of times you do just kind of all right, let's just get through these next couple games, next couple weeks, and then be done with this season. And again, we've given Monty Lee a lot of credit for the fact that he's kept this team engaged and interested, quite frankly, through a lot of the downs that they've had since he took over as head coach. But, yeah, this weekend felt different. He even talked about it on Sunday, hey, the demeanor from the team this weekend wasn't what we needed it to be. And the question becomes okay, can you refocus them for the remaining, 7 games that you have left in the regular season and however long you end up lasting in Hoover?
That's the thing. And Hoover's the only path left at this point. I think you're just, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say that guys are going to phone it in. You hope they don't. You hope they just don't quit on the season because there are still games left to go. And maybe being back at home will help. But there's no doubt that this weekend against LSU definitely was a different tone than we've heard before. I hadn't not really heard that word frustration used and just the feeling that the guys were scoreboard watching and just playing to the scoreboard and letting that affect them. So it was a bad weekend. Hopefully you are able to really take these last few days and just again reset and just not let what happened before dictate what the rest of the season can do. Because obviously you're not playing for much, but
right.
You are trying to get back to winning some baseball games.
Well, of course, we're more focused on what's going to be coming up in the future, and that is the coaching search that will be taking place in roughly about a month as teams are starting to wrap up their seasons, and we'll obviously see which direction Jeremiah Donati chooses to go. We'll get into our head-to-head battle coming up in the next segment with Justin Parker, who defeated Miami Lee yesterday, and our head-to-head moving on to take on Landon Powell, and we'll analyze both those coaches against each other to see who moves on to tomorrow's matchup. And Bill and I talked about this a little bit on our show yesterday, and I want to continue the conversation. Simple question, Jack. Are coaching searches fun or stressful?
I think it depends on how you look at it. I think if you get your guy, it's fun. If it's not, if it's kind of like the basketball hire from a few years ago, where you're missing on a bunch of guys and you think you got one guy and then you don't, it can definitely not be fun. So I think it just depends on how the search goes and how long it takes. I think is the big thing.
We ran a poll yesterday on Twitter, asked basically the same question. As a fan, do you find a coaching search in any sport stressful or fun? Fun won with 63% of the vote. And I think, for one, I think people are looking at this from the perspective of the specific sport of baseball, where you feel like you can go out there and legitimately get one of the best hires in all of the country, right? As opposed to, let's say if Lamont Paris had been fired and we were looking for a coach for men's basketball, I don't know if you would have had the highest confidence that, we can go out there and literally get anybody, where in baseball, you're like, hey, this, and we talked about the other day, is still a top 10 job in America where anybody is capable of coming here and taking this job over.
Yeah, totally. I think it is. There's probably going to be a lot of movement as the season kind of comes to an end for a lot of teams, as far as coaches being plucked away, programs deciding to move on from their coaches. There will be good jobs that open up in this cycle, but still, as of right now, South Carolina remains the best job. Like, I think Omaha just opened up a few days ago. And Omaha's, I think, as far as like a mid-major goes and location and all that, with that being where the College World Series is, Omaha's probably like a decent job if the resources are right, but obviously it's Grand Canyon and Omaha are nothing compared to South Carolina in terms of how that job stacks up. So look, right now it's still the best job. It's like, I think Jeremiah Donati put it best last week. It's the prettiest girl at the dance. So I agree. Now, does that automatically mean you're going to get whoever you want? Not necessarily. Coaches can say no.
Yeah.
Like, what is stopping Kevin Schnall from wanting to just stay at Coastal Carolina? That is probably that's probably I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that he's going to be the coach of South Carolina. I think it's also very possible he could just want to stay at Coastal and continue to build on what he's done there, since he is a lifelonger there. But I think there is something to be said that, South Carolina will have its pick of the litter, essentially, when it comes to the coaching industry. But at the same time, people have to want to come here. And money obviously will play a factor, but the state of the program is in a bad spot right now. But maybe somebody out there will be like, I'd like to be there and see it get turned around.
Well, I also think there's a fun element of getting to see Jeremiah Donati make his first major hire here at South Carolina. Again, I think people had grown kind of weary of Ray Tanner when it came to coaching searches and how some of them happened, and obviously the last couple hires that were made with Gamecock baseball, where you have a guy in Donati who we don't completely have a full idea of what this process is going to look like, what his candidates are. We're speculating at this point in time. But again, he says all the right things. The thing the other day about it being the prettiest girl at the dance, and I think we're all excited to see him not only make this hire, but set the table for future hires he's going to be making down the line in terms of what he does with this coaching search.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how this process goes. I think it is fascinating that he will be using a search firm for this hire, which, to my knowledge, I don't ever really remember a time in my short time on the beat where South Carolina has used a search firm in this case. So, I mean, maybe I'm mistaken on that. Maybe I just haven't been around long enough. But, I don't remember it being like that when Paul was hired or Lamont. But point is, look, they're like, this is a very big hire. I think it's okay if it takes a little bit of time. It may need to take some time, because a lot of the coaches that maybe South Carolina wants are going to be on teams that are in the thick of the postseason hunt to get to Omaha, and that could take you into the middle of June. And I know that may concern some people with the portal opening up at the beginning of next month, but again, that's just for players to enter the portal. And wherever this coach that comes to South Carolina comes from, odds are they're going to bring a lot of players with them. They're going to bring the recruits with them. So I think in due time it will all work out. It's just, yeah, it is a little bit of a mystery right now of how is Jeremiah going to, how is this process going to work in his opinion? Like, obviously he said the other day that there's a lot of coaches interested in this job reaching out to him and whatnot, and I'm sure agents are reaching out to and whatnot. But yeah, what he's looking for, that kind of remains to be seen, and that'll be very interesting to find out.
Well, we're trying to figure out ourselves who the next head coach is going to be here at South Carolina. Round number 3 of our coach head-to-head is coming up next, where we'll pit yesterday's winner, Justin Parker, up against Landon Powell. We'll have that discussion coming up on the other side. It is The Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Veltri with you on your Wednesday here on The Game.
Wow, what a play. The Game Network. Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
We have a new way for you to call the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Just dial pound 250, and when prompted, punch in the keywords, The Game. And that's it. Again, pound 250 with the keywords, The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at herndonchevy.com.
Are you a small business owner, a church, or other entity in need of a new HVAC system? Well, AAA Heating and Air has exciting news for you then. AAA now offers financing to qualified organizations to aid them in installing a new light commercial HVAC system. It's as easy as calling AAA Heating and Air for a quote or finding them online at callAAAtoday.com. Tell them Jack from 107.5 The Game sent you. At AAA Heating and Air, they've got your back. They're offering up to 12-month payment plans on repairs with no credit check required. That's right. No need to worry about your credit score in this case. As long as you're a homeowner with a valid bank account, you'll be good to go. So take control of your comfort today by giving a call to AAA Heating and Air at 803-677-1500. Again, the number to call AAA is 803-677-1500. Give them a call today and breathe easy again.
Hallmark Cards presents Mother's Day at Walgreens. Celebrate every mother figure in your life with a Hallmark card at Walgreens. Show how much she means to you and how deeply she's loved. A Hallmark card is the perfect way to say thank you for all she does. Don't forget, Mother's Day is Sunday, May 10th. Visit Walgreens today to find the perfect Hallmark Mother's Day card and make her feel truly special. Mother's Day means Hallmark cards at Walgreens.
Why does Progressive help support truckers? Because truckers unite the world. Truckers unite whistles and lifeguards. Truckers unite fitness devices with people who don't exercise. Truckers unite your aunt with those live, laugh, love signs. But truckers can't do any of this if they're not on the road. That's why Progressive helps safe truckers save an average of $6,181 when they elect to share their ELD data with us. Get a quote at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. 2025 National Average Safe Driver Enrollment Discount Savings for new Progressive customers exclude the mandatory program participants. Not available in all states. Driving data could increase or decrease premiums at renewal.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass.
Start your spring cleaning with Zerorez. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $109 plus a free hallway. No soap, no residue, no harsh chemicals, just a deeper clean that lasts. Plus, now you can also take $100 off air duct cleaning and breathe cleaner air. Visit ZerorezColumbia.com.
Sponsored by Woodman Life. Protecting hardworking families with life insurance.
Woodman Life believes every hardworking American deserves to leave a legacy. Life insurance helps protect the people you love and the future you've worked hard to build, so your story lives on. Get your quote at woodmanlife.org. Woodman Life is the brand name for Women of the World Life Insurance Society in Omaha, Nebraska. Ad number A0136.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. Visit CordellCordell.com.
1201 Main Street, Columbia.
And paid for by Adaptive Health.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
I don't care how old or young you are. Life doesn't slow down for anyone. With Nugenix Total T2, the brand new testosterone and nitric oxide boosting formula, I'm keeping up with the kids and finally feeling like my old self again. Now, I've got enough in the tank for whatever life throws my way.
Text STREAK to 215-215 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2. STREAK to 215-215.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hate paying for streaming? Well, the 107.5 The Game app is free. Yes, free. Just download the 107.5 The Game app.
The Extra Point.
And the kick is good!
With Tyler Head and Jack Beltry from Gamecock Central. On the Game Network, the 107.5 The Game app, and the Game TV radio on YouTube.
All right, welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Belcher with you here on your Wednesday on the Game. It's time for the third round of our baseball head coaching search gauntlet. As in day number one, we pitted Monty Lee versus Skylar Meade. We advanced Monty Lee on to round number two. Yesterday, he was paired up against Justin Parker, current pitching coach at Mississippi State, of course, former assistant here at South Carolina, and we moved on Justin Parker to round number three. And by the way, we ran a poll on our Twitter page at 1075thegame.com, and most of you agreed with us. We said head-to-head, which coach would you rather have? 76% of the vote ended up going to Monty Lee. Only 23% ended up going to, 76% of the vote went to Justin Parker. Only about 24% of the vote ended up going to Monty Lee. So they were in agreement with us that head-to-head, Justin Parker should move on here.
Yeah, that's not a huge surprise here. I think a lot of the folks that were in potentially the Monty camp, just honestly, the last few weeks have kind of just shown, like, from the hitting not doing its job to the results on the field. Yeah, like if Monty got to the postseason this year and went on a deep run, I think he's undoubtedly your coach. But, the fact that the Gamecocks are probably missing the postseason, like 99% chance missing the postseason at this point, I think that spells that this is going to be an outside hire. And yeah, I think Parker and a lot of candidates, if Parker's a better candidate than Lee, there's a good chance every other candidate we're going to mention here is probably a better candidate than Lee moving forward, which, look, Monty's a good coach, but things have just not worked out this year. And I just think South Carolina needs to wipe the slate clean. And, our next little round here is Justin Parker going up against another former Gamecock, except this one is not a former coach. It is a former Gamecock great in Landon Powell, who played here in the heat of South Carolina going to Omaha. I think it was 3 straight years from 2002 to 2004. So he was on some really good South Carolina teams. And obviously, Tyler, as we both know, if Gamecock fans could have their pick, this is probably one of their guys.
This is probably and again, we're having the same conversation 2 years ago when we were trying to find the replacement for Mark Kingston. I think this is the most controversial name that always comes up when it comes to the South Carolina head coaching position, because like you said, he was a part of some of the great success they had back in the days as a player, and he's gone on to have a lot of great success in his time as the head coach at North Greenville, won the 2022 national championship. Last check, they're number 3 in the D2 polls once again, so primed to be one of those teams that could end up winning another national championship this year, but he always has them at the top of that level. But the thing we always go back to is the lack of experience at Division I, which is the holdup for a lot of people as to why maybe he's not the leading candidate to get this job.
Now, here's a few ways to look at it. Obviously, Landon's had a ton of success. He understands what it means to be a Gamecock. He understands the standard that the program should be held to, because he obviously played on some of the best teams in program history. But the holdup, like you said, Tyler, is always the he has never coached at D1 before. He's only been at D2 since he took the job at North Greenville over a decade ago. Now, I think the thing is here, if he weren't a Gamecock, would he even be in consideration, right? Like, notice how on all these hot boards and whatnot, he's like the only D2 coach on the list. The rest of the coaches have D1 experience. Some of them are head coaches, some of them are assistants, but they're at the D1 level. A lot of them are in the SEC, in power conferences and whatnot. And honestly, a guy like Schnall, he's still D1. But he's at the Sun Belt, but he's still having great success and proving that he can go beat good teams. You know, with Powell, look, he's had a lot of good wins, and he's won a national championship. But if he's such a great coach, why hasn't he been plucked away by another D1 school? Why hasn't he been hired by one of the mid-majors out there? You know, like, has he gotten offers? Who knows? But I think if he were not an alum of South Carolina, I don't even think he would be in the discussion. You probably wouldn't even know his name.
And I don't deny that Landon Powell could transition up to the Division I level, could have success, and could lead teams to Omaha. But with the position that this program is in right now, I don't think you can take that chance of it not being possible, right? Like, I think you have to go with somebody. And look, we're going to discuss plenty more candidates over these next couple weeks that have been there and done that before when it comes to going to postseasons, when it comes to going to Omaha, when it comes to maybe even winning national championships too, depending on some of the names that we talk about, where you got a better idea when they come in of, okay, I know what this guy's capable of, as opposed to taking more of a chance on someone that is jumping up a level. And again, like you said, the thing we go back to all the time is, if he hadn't played here, would you be looking at him as a Division II coach, even as successful as he is? And I think the answer to that is no, because we're not talking about any other Division II coaches. Again, it's very impressive what he's done down there at North Greenville, but I just don't know if that is the hire you're trying to make right now. That being said, it's not impossible for him to advance past Justin Parker here. Or again, for today's argument, we're going head to head. Is he a better candidate than Justin Parker, who we discussed yesterday is a better option than Monty Lee?
And that's the whole point here. This is not us saying that, do or don't hire Landon Powell. It's just, is he a better candidate than Justin Parker? Now, we talked at length about Parker yesterday. Look, he's got a little bit of experience as a head coach from his time at Mississippi State last year, where he took over as the interim after Chris Lemonis was left go. Did a really good job there, got Mississippi State to the postseason after the Bulldogs were in a really rough hole to begin SEC play. He did a good job there. But, you know, he's mainly been an assistant coach. And I think South Carolina is going to be interested in some of the bigger assistants on the market. Some of those we'll get into as we continue to talk about all these coaches. But for the sake of this discussion, Parker or Powell, I don't really think you can go wrong here, because I don't ultimately think either of these coaches will be hired. But I am probably just going to go with Justin Parker, just because it feels like he's probably less of a gamble than it would be with Powell. Because, look, honestly, I think there is, if you don't get your big-name head coach, I do think there is a chance that South Carolina could take a chance on an assistant out there. Now, what's the difference between taking a chance on an assistant and taking a chance on a guy like Powell? There may not be a ton of difference, other than the fact that I think the experience is different, and Parker's got results at this level. So I think for that reason, I'm going to have to stick with Parker on this one.
And I'll be fully transparent. I don't want to go the assistant route in general. I want to hire somebody that is an established head coach that has a long proven track record of taking teams into the postseason, Omaha, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not having either one of these guys advance super far into this. But as we talked about yesterday, at least with Justin Parker, yes, he's mainly been an assistant in his time at the D1 level. But when handed the keys to a Mississippi State team that wasn't in the best place when they fired Chris Lemonis a year ago, he did get those guys back together, won, 9 out of the last 10 games, did win 2 games in his regional. So it's a very small sample size, but that is impressive to me, what he was able to do with that team at the back half of that season.
And again, he's got the ties to South Carolina. I'm sure he has not severed a lot of connections here, not just at the university, but also just in general in recruiting and whatnot. And he's done a great job. Like, he's led a really good pitching staff the last few years in Starkville. He did a good job when he was here at South Carolina. Like, the pitching side of things, he can develop. We've seen a small sample size of him as a head coach. I think there's some intrigue to that. But as far as him being the head coach here, I don't know. But for the sake of this discussion, yeah, I'm going with Parker.
So we're going to move on Justin Parker to tomorrow's matchup. We'll put him head-to-head with Christian Ostrander from from Southern Miss. This will be the first one that we have that doesn't have any previous connections to South Carolina. So this is where it starts to get really interesting.
Yeah, and this will be one of the first head coaches we're really talking about here, not just a former Gamecock that is an assistant somewhere. And this will be a guy that it has been at the D1 level. So, yeah, this is where the conversation starts to get interesting now as we get into more of these head coaches at this level.
So Justin Parker advances on our head coaching head-to-head gauntlet. As we're going through this process, though, we're obviously going to be talking about the qualities of these head coaches. What specifically are we looking for? And are we looking for a complete 180 from what we just had? We'll discuss that coming up next, and I want to use an example from college football to drive this point home a little bit. We'll discuss that coming up next. It is The Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Feltree along with you on your Wednesday here on The Game.
Gamecock fans, get ready for something new this season. Charleston now has a new station for Carolina sports talk. Dial in to 96.9 The Game on HD3. Head to 96.9 FM and on an HD radio, punch into HD Channel 3. You'll unleash live Carolina coverage you can listen to all day long. New on HD3. It's 96.9 The Game HD3, South Carolina's newest sports station.
All my sports!
The Game Network. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 96.9 The Game in Charleston. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Download to see if you qualify. Not all customers will qualify. Transfer fees may apply. No Albert subscription required. Albert is not a bank. Albert Instant Loans are issued by FinWise Bank, member FDIC. Not an actual client. Terms apply.
Kylie, what's wrong? I just got hit with a car repair bill. I'm behind on rent, and I feel like I can never save any money.
Have you tried the Albert app? Albert is your financial assistant, helping you find ways to save and create custom budgets to actually grow your money. Plus, you can get up to $10,000 for big expenses, or advance up to $1,000 fast when you need cash right away.
Albert can get me up to $10,000?
Exactly. Albert spots you in a pinch and helps you grow your money in the long run.
I'm downloading Albert right now.
Download the Albert app and use promo code TRACK to borrow up to $10,000 for whatever you need. The Albert app helps you budget better and save more money so you reach your financial goals faster. Download the Albert app right now and use promo code TRACK to borrow up to $10,000. Use code TRACK to borrow up to $10,000.
Is your crawl space damp or musty? Water in your crawl space can cause wood to rot and creates an environment for mold and mildew that can make its way inside your home. Canty Foundation Specialist specializes in crawl space repair. Call us today for your free inspection so you can have the peace of mind knowing your crawl space is dry and your home is protected. Call today, 803-424-8380, or visit cantycanfixit.com.
Email hijacking and ransomware are on the rise, and they're targeting your business. Once your data is out there, there's no fix, no reset. Do you know where your business is vulnerable right now? Find out with a cybersecurity audit from IntelliSystems. IntelliSystems is one of the few firms worldwide that's GTIA Cybersecurity Trustmark Assured, meaning the highest global standards. They find gaps before criminals do. Schedule your audit now. IntelliSystems.com.
Hey guys, Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central here to make sure your business and property parking lots are kept available from any unwanted cars taking up your spots with Schroeder's Towing. For instance, you're coming in hot to the game studios for your show and you park next door in an unauthorized lot with signage that was provided for free from Schroeder's Towing. Next thing you know, the show is in the books and your car is out of the lot. It really is that simple. That's a true story. Call Schroeder's today and keep those unwanted cars out of your lots. Online at schroederstowing.net.
Just dial pound 250 and use the keyword tow truck. Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town.
Mike Rowe here with a fun fact. Did you know that 50% of the air that you breathe inside your home comes from your crawl space? Yeah. Whether your crawl space is wet, musty, or your floors are bouncy, do yourself a favor and call a Groundworks company. I spent some time working with these guys, and they're the real deal. Their people are trained and certified to repair your crawl space. Schedule a free inspection with Mount Valley Foundation Services, a Groundworks company.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
If you need orthopedic or neurosurgical care, it's a big deal to you and to us. At Midlands Orthopedics and Neurosurgery, we offer easy access to seasoned physicians with the most extensive outpatient experience in the region. Whether it's joint replacement, a neck or back procedure, or injury care, you can trust us to provide customized treatment plans with easy access, great outcomes, and lower cost to you. Midlands Orthopedics and Neurosurgery.
If you're tired of dealing with gas, noise, and costly maintenance, it's probably time to switch to Steel battery power. Right now at Cato's Power Equipment, we have 65 Steel battery tools like the GTA 40 hand pruner, the BGA 60 blower, and the KMA 135 Combi power head, each available with 2 free batteries for a limited time, giving you more runtime, less hassle, and up to $640 in instant savings. This deal is only available at Cato's Power Equipment, Columbia's home for the tools you need to maintain your turf. Visit catospowerequipment.com.
For digital marketing that works, you need local expertise and national scale. Cumulus Digital provides hometown teams fueled by national support, serving over 4,000 businesses a month. Go to cumulusdigital.com. A short form is all it takes to get started.
Extra Point with Tyler Head and Jack Veltri from Gamecock Central on the Game Network and the 107.5 The Game app.
Yeah, I've got an expectation to win every game we play. That's my expectation. Like I'm not comfortable with anybody going, "Hey, how many games are you comfortable winning this year?" Like anybody that tells me, "Hey, bowl eligible," I'm like, "Yeah, we better be." Or I'll be on top of the stadium getting ready to do something stupid. Like, so to me, you have to have urgency every day. And I think as soon as you put a ceiling or a cap on what you can do and start to like think with limits in mind, you're automatically handicapping yourself. And so for me, man, our expectation is for our guys to expect to win every freaking time we take the field.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Veltri with you on your Wednesday here on The Game. That was the voice of new Florida head coach Jon Sumrall doing a sit-down interview the other day, talking about expectations and handling them and all that kind of stuff. And Jack, I listened to that clip. It was making its rounds on Twitter the other day or whatever, and the first thing I thought was, man, that guy's really different than Billy Napier was. Would you agree with that?
I would 100% agree. I think his approach to everything is just right off the bat, it's just so different. And he's only been there a few months. And look, the real judge of how everything goes will be when the season begins and how Florida does. Because if he's winning the same amount of games as Napier was, then in reality, it doesn't matter what he's saying. He's no better than what Billy was doing there. So we'll see how it goes, man. But he is saying a lot of different things that I think Florida fans can probably get behind.
Well, and that's why I bring this up, because you can just hear the intensity, right? And the way he just delivers a message. Now, again, it's going to ultimately come down to what he does on the field or to whether he's going to be loved or hated in Gainesville. But right off the bat, you can see there's a clear difference between him and Billy Napier. We always like to say when Billy Napier would speak at the podium, he'd put you to sleep, right? There wasn't a whole lot of personality to that guy, despite the fact that, and this was kind of revealed in the Any Given Saturday thing on Netflix, like Billy Napier seemed like a good person, but like as a football coach, and obviously the results weren't on the field, he wasn't somebody that Florida fans gravitated to as well. And I think Jon Sumrall will be that kind of person, pending results, of course. And the reason I bring this up is because when you have a coach that doesn't work out, you fire him, he resigns, whatever it may be, your immediate next hire is typically going to be somebody that's very different or somebody that does the opposite of what that previous coach did. Again, Jon Sumrall, very intense, very fiery. Billy Napier wasn't that kind of guy. So as we're talking about this coaching search for the baseball team, I think we're having these same conversations of, okay, what can we hire or who can we hire that's the opposite of Paul Mainieri in multiple ways?
Yeah, you want to, I almost hate to kind of say it because I know Gamecock fans are probably not going to like hearing this, but oh well. I think, honestly, someone with, because Paul is that happy-go-lucky kind of guy, at least in front of the media and whatnot. In the public setting, he's definitely like that. But I think somebody not from the resume standpoint, but from the demeanor standpoint, someone like a Mark Kingston was kind of just the complete opposite of Mainieri in a lot of ways, where he's a lot more serious. Like, he kind of does give me those Summerall vibes in a lot of ways. Now, obviously, he didn't work out here, but shoot, he had a lot more success than Mainieri did. I'm not saying hire Mark Kingston, but I am saying, probably look for somebody with that demeanor. But at the same time, the issue with King was always that you never saw him out in the community. You never saw him out in the public setting. He was just, and maybe that's fine, business as usual, but I think you need somebody that can represent this program proudly and well, but also at the same time, you need to have the right, way to go about things. And I think that's what South Carolina needs to look for here.
Well, and you're right on that. And yeah, the past two hires with Kingston, Mainieri didn't really kind of embrace being in Columbia. And that's something that this fan base wants, right? Because this fan base loves Gamecock baseball. And they want Gamecock baseball, namely the head person in charge of Gamecock baseball, to love them back. And you haven't had that really in the past two hires. So that's definitely at the top of the priority list. And quite frankly, Jack, hire somebody that's coaching right now. Right? That was the biggest controversy when it came to the Mainieri hire 2 years ago was, hey, this guy's been out of the game for 3 years. He's not coached at all in the current NIL era of college baseball. How can he adapt? Clearly, he wasn't able to do that. So just hiring, and again, all these candidates we're going to go through, and I have no doubt that, Donati's going to hire somebody that is currently coaching, but somebody that understands the landscape where college sports are as of right now, and not somebody that's been sitting at home for the past 3 or 4 years.
It's mind-boggling to me that was the route the last hire ended up going down, because the job at the time was probably more desirable then than it is now, because South Carolina was in a very good position even after Kingston was let go. Like, they made a regional. They won 37 games. Like Paul said when he was hired, they were not in the doldrums. And it is just crazy that they went down the route of hiring a retired head coach that had no experience with NIL and the portal and everything, that the circus of that comes with it. And yeah, I think it's safe to say Jeremiah, whether he retains Monty or whether he decides to hire somebody outside, more likely than not, that coach is going to be someone that's not sitting on their couch for the last few months playing golf and doing nothing. So, yeah, I think somebody that is a current head coach or coach in general will be the next hire, and that is going to be, I think, an immediate good step in the right direction. But everything else from there matters just as much. More importantly than anything, though, Tyler, besides, embracing the fan base and embracing Gamecock baseball, you got to win games.
You do.
If you win games, it's fine. That's ultimately what you're paid to do. That needs to be what the priority is here. Getting somebody that can win games, regardless of what their personality is or how endearing they are to the fans. They got to win games. Because if you're doing all that stuff and you're not winning games, guess what? Nobody's really going to like you. So you got to go out there and win more than anything.
And at the end of the day, that is the most important thing. That's ultimately what you're going to be judged on. But if you have, a period of some adversity, or maybe go on a streak of a couple games that you don't win, I'd also like to see a coach in here that does take accountability, because that's not something that Paul Mainieri was good at all, really, until he decided to resign, where he finally owned up to, hey, it was me, because all through last year, it was, well, I don't have the players that I need, all these guys are tired and all that kind of stuff. Like, he just never really seemed to point the finger at himself and say, hey, I need to do this better, when it was very clear that he was the problem in a lot of ways. And again, Monty Lee has done a really good job of being accountable and owning up to things when they're not going right, certainly here as of late. And I hope whoever this next head coach they hire is going to be the same way.
You kind of want somebody, if Monty were winning games, I think it'd be a much easier decision here
to just hire him, because you want somebody, I think, ideally, that has Monty's passion for the program and for baseball in general. Like, yeah, if you could get somebody with Monty's heart and spirit, absolutely.
Yeah, to your point there, if Monty Lee was winning, sorry, go ahead. You broke up there for a second.
Yeah, no, sorry about that. Yeah, go ahead though. That's kind of the point I was making though. Is you want somebody with Monty's heart and spirit for this program that wants to be here. It's just you got to find that, but also the guy that can win you games.
Yeah, again, it's very much like if you take Monty Lee's attitude and love and passion for the program, and can confuse it with somebody that has a better resume in terms of what they've accomplished in their head coaching career, you have the perfect candidate. And again, that's not a knock on Monty Lee, but we know what he is as a head coach because we've seen that over a period of time at College of Charleston, Clemson, and everything, and you just can't make that hire right now. But the way he goes about it, the way he poses himself, his personality, his attitude is all the things that you want. And I hope we get somebody in that similar type of way in as head coach next.
Yeah, you're kind of hoping that's the case, but and again, you may not know. We'll see. We'll see what it looks like. I think that is something you do have to prioritize, but you also have to get back to the fundamentals of baseball. Like, what kind of brand of baseball does this coach want to play? Is it going to be small ball? Is it going to be home run happy? What kind of assistants does this guy want to bring? What players does he want to bring in? So a lot of factors go into it, but I think at the core of everything, yeah, you do need somebody that can win, but also somebody that gets what the times are like right now, but also gets what the program needs.
Well, whoever the next head coach for South Carolina baseball is going to be might be playing under some different rules in 2027. And is it going to stop there? Are there more things that college baseball can take away from the major leagues? We'll discuss that coming up next with the Would You Rather Wednesday as the Extra Point rolls along. Tyler Head and Jack Veltri on your Wednesday here on The Game.
Wow, what a play. The Game Network. Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
This is Bill Gunner with 107.5 The Game and The Game Network. If you run a diner, bakery, coffee shop, burger joint, pizza spot, or that hidden gem everybody should know about, how would you like to get the word out about your business without spending a dime? Well, we got you. All you have to do is text your name, your business, and your phone number to 803-404-6100. That's 803-404-6100. And we'll be in touch. There's no catch. Times are tough, and we're here just trying to help you get folks in the door of your business.
This is a Westwood One Sports Minute.
The top-seeded Thunder didn't just win their second-round opener. They made a statement. Oklahoma City shook off an 8-day layoff to dismantle the Lakers 108-90, extending their perfect postseason run to 5-0. Chet Holmgren, the catalyst, dominating with 24 points, 12 boards, and 3 blocks. Thunder roll. I'm Drake Toll.
I checked Allstate first and saved hundreds on my car insurance. Really smart. Unfortunately, I didn't check if I left the pizza box on top of my car before driving home. Not smart. Oh, and a semi just turned my deep dish into a thin crust.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Potential savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate North American Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
In a world in need of a hero, one man rises to the challenge in style. He is...
just driving the kids to soccer practice.
Make every day feel epic in the all-new Hyundai Palisade Hybrid with up to an EPA-estimated 619 miles of range on select trims, advanced tech, and class-leading interior space. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details.
And hey, come on, no cleats on the seats.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt. Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $3 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-746-1744. 800-746-1744. 800-746-1744.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com. Progressive knows you think the grass is always greener. Like maybe you ride a motorcycle. But today, it's raining. So you wish you had an RV. But if you did, you'd have to listen to some guy parked next to it at a campsite plays acoustic guitar. Now, before you start wishing you had a boat, remember, your brother-in-law would invite himself every weekend. Permission to come aboard, Captain? But one thing that is greener is the money you could save when you bundle your RV, boat, or motorcycle with your home or auto with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Hallmark Cards presents Mother's Day at Walgreens. Celebrate every mother figure in your life with a Hallmark card at Walgreens. Show how much she means to you and how deeply she's loved. A Hallmark card is the perfect way to say thank you for all she does. Don't forget, Mother's Day is Sunday, May 10th. Visit Walgreens today to find the perfect Hallmark Mother's Day card and make her feel truly special. Mother's Day means Hallmark cards at Walgreens.
The Extra Point.
And the kick is good!
With Tyler Head and Jack Beltry from Gamecock Central. On the Game Network, the 107.5, the Game app, and the Game TV radio on YouTube.
All right, welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Beltry wrapping up hour number one here on your Wednesday on the Game. As you do each and every Wednesday, a Would You Rather Wednesday now. And Jack, yesterday we talked about the SEC experimenting with the ABS system for the upcoming SEC tournament here in a couple weeks, with the intention that it's likely going to go full-time in the SEC at the very least, if not all of college baseball, coming up in 2027. And that's a rule change that I think everybody's been pretty okay with in Major League Baseball, and I don't think will be met with much pushback if it goes full-time in college baseball. But my question to you is, would you rather, for the future of college baseball, implement Major League Baseball's runner on second rule in extra innings, or leave things the way that they are? Because, again, if college baseball continues to follow the trends, that is a rule that I could very likely see coming up in terms of college baseball adopting, and it's been very controversial at the Major League level.
I'd keep it the way it is. I'm not really... When Major League Baseball implemented that rule in, I think it was 2020, I think it was, maybe 2021.
Well, they did it. They did it in the 2020 season, and then they brought it back in 2022 and have had it, or 2022 or 2023, and have had it since, because they only did the one-year experiment during the COVID year.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, they don't use it during the postseason, which makes sense. I'm not the biggest fan of it. Look, I understand the whole wanting to move games along and whatnot, and more times than not, games do go pretty quickly. You know, I understand the pitch clock is designed to avoid you hardly ever see an 18, 19-inning game anymore like you would every now and then. But how often does that actually happen? So
right.
I think keeping it the way it is fine right now for college baseball. I don't think every single rule essentially needs to apply. Like, yes, does it set you up the college players better for the pros? Sure, it does. I'm sure of it, with all these rules being similar to the MLB. But I'm not the biggest fan of the ghost runner on second. That's just not my cup of tea necessarily.
Yeah, and I've never really felt one way or the other about it in Major League Baseball. Again, it was controversial when they implemented it, but I don't view it much differently, and I know it changes the strategy and all that kind of stuff. I've been fine with it. It's not something I complain about by any means. If anything, and I'm sure there are statistics out there that support that it's, keeping games from going deeper into extra innings. Like you said, we're not having 17, 18, 19 inning games. like we may have had at maybe a higher clip in years past. If college baseball were to ever look at something like this, I think maybe you go like, okay, if you've made it through the first 3 innings of extras and nobody scored, maybe in like the 13th or something, because at that point you are trying to just move the game along, maybe you look at it then. Again, I don't know if college baseball is going to implement this or not, but again, they've already followed suit with several rules at the Major League Baseball level that it wouldn't surprise me if this does come up as the next thing they might look at implementing.
The big thing is, does college baseball look at itself having a issue with how long the games are? Now, I think this season, from being at almost every South Carolina game, there have been a lot of long games that are 3+ hours. And a lot of that does have to do with, I think we mentioned it yesterday, yes, they have the pitch clock, and yes, they use it, but I feel like it does not work as well as it does at the MLB level, because I see a lot of guys, I'm not trying to call anybody out, but one instance that does stick out to me is I feel like I always see KJ Scovey stepping out of the box, readjusting his batting gloves, just stay in the box and hit. That's what moves it along at the MLB level perfectly fine. I think that's where college gets itself in trouble is it has the pitch clock and it uses it, but I don't think the rules are enforced as heavily of stay in the batter's box. You can't be stepping out every time. A pitcher can't be stepping off the mound. There's too many pickoff throws. That's probably another rule that probably needs to be implemented. Like how the MLB does it is you only get a certain amount of pickoff throws per at bat or per inning, rather than you throw more than the allotted pickoff throws in the MLB. Guess what? The runner moves up to second. So I like the way MLB does the moving of the game, the faster pace. But I think there's some things like the ghost runner at second that not a lot of fans are into, and myself included in that camp.
See, I've always had the belief that the pitching in college baseball just is not as good as the Major League level. So you're throwing more pitches, you're rotating through more pitchers. I think that's probably what makes these games take as long, because pitching is so good at the top level. You're typically getting lower scoring games anyway, fewer runs being scored, fewer stoppages, and that kind of stuff. I really think that's the difference between college and Major League in terms of why the pitch clock is more effective for the top level than in college.
No, that's totally true. That's a very good point. You get some games that are just absolutely taking too long because you have so many pitching changes, the high-scoring game. There are a lot of factors. If you can keep a game to about 3 hours at max, I think you feel pretty good. But anything under that, I think, is what they'll shoot for eventually. But it just depends. Do they want to get to that point? That's
right.
The question.
We'll see. Well, it looks like ABS is on its way. We'll test it out in Hoover coming up in a couple weeks. We'll talk some basketball and football coming up in hour number 2 as the Extra Point rolls along on your Wednesday on the Game.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at HerndonChevy.com.
Tyrant here for our friends over at Twin Peaks. My goodness, there are so many sports on television right now. I have so much trouble keeping up at home. I don't have enough screens to keep up with all the action going on with the NBA playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs, Major League Baseball, college baseball, all things happening at once. But you know where you can go and take in all that great action without having to flip channels constantly? That's our friends over at Twin Peaks. They have TVs literally everywhere. We were there about a month ago, or a little over a month ago, for the NCAA tournament. And they had all the games all across the TVs where you didn't have to keep changing channels to keep up with all the action. And they do the same thing no matter what sports are going on. So if you need to take in all that great sports action, get down to the lodge, grab yourself a bar stool, order some delicious scratch-made food, and, of course, a 29-degree draft beer to wash it all down. They're right down the street from us here in the Vista at 600 Gervais Street. Twin Peaks eats, drinks, and scenic views.
Download to see if you qualify. Not all customers will qualify. Transfer fees may apply. No Albert subscription required. Albert is not a bank. Albert Instant Loans are issued by FinWise Bank, member FDIC. Not an actual client. Terms apply.
Kylie, what's wrong? I just got hit with a car repair bill. I'm behind on rent, and I feel like I can never save any money.
Have you tried the Albert app? Albert is your financial assistant, helping you find ways to save and create custom budgets to actually grow your money. Plus, you can get up to $10,000 for big expenses, or advance up to $1,000 fast when you need cash right away.
Albert can get me up to $10,000?
Exactly. Albert spots you in a pinch and helps you grow your money in the long run.
I'm downloading Albert right now.
Download the Albert app and use promo code TRACK to borrow up to $10,000 for whatever you need. The Albert app helps you budget better and save more money so you reach your financial goals faster. Download the Albert app right now and use promo code TRACK to borrow up to $10,000. Use code TRACK to borrow up to $10,000.
The Colonial Life Charity Classic is coming to the Wood Creek Club right here in Columbia, May 14th through the 17th. This is your chance to watch the next generation of PGA Tour stars up close. Before Justin Thomas and Scotty Scheffler were household names, they were right here on the Korn Ferry Tour. This is where the journey begins. Every shot bringing them closer to the PGA Tour. Tomorrow's champions are teeing it up today. Get your tickets now for the Colonial Life Charity Classic.
I met my wife in law school at the University of Florida. She was from upstate New York and I was from Kentucky. We met at a daily mass at St. Augustine's. She was the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen in my life. After communion, I followed her out of the church and got her phone number. The rest is history. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Little did we know that one day we would have 4 children and the largest injury firm in the world. All 4 work in the business. It's a family business. Did I ever see this coming? Hell no. We just worked very hard and treated our clients like we would want to be treated, like family. It's a full-service injury firm, auto accidents, medical malpractice, workers' compensation, Social Security, and insurance disputes. We're open 24/7, 365 days a year. Visit forthepeople.com and we can get to work on your case. No recovery, no fee. Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Injured? Dial # law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Discover the Griffin difference. Griffin Pools and Spas is your headquarters for family fun and outside enjoyment. We offer Latham fiberglass pools, Imperial vinyl pools, above ground pools, spas by Bullfrog, Marquee, Tropic Season Generations, and swim spas. The Big Green Egg, all things Yeti and Turtle Box Gen 3, Ranger, and Grande Bluetooth speakers. We sell fun. Come see us and get summer ready today. Discover the Griffin difference. Family owned and operated for 50 years.
Griffin Pools and Spas, we make you feel good.
Your home for the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station.
Oh, yeah.
The Extra Point with Tyler Head.
And the kick is good.
Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network.
Welcome back in, hour number 2. Extra Point. Tyler Head, Jack Felcher with you here on your Wednesday on the Game. Tonight, by the way, I don't know if you're in attendance for this or not, Jack. The Garnet and Black road trip is going to be here in Columbia, correct?
Yes, it will be. I will be out there tonight.
Okay. Do you know the lineup of coaches that we're going to hear from? Obviously, like Beamer will be there. I'm assuming Lamont. Anybody else that you're aware of?
It's the usual slew of coaches from the smaller sports, like I think Tony Ann. I don't have the list in front of me, but
gotcha.
You know, like probably those smaller coaches. We'll see if Lamont's there. I didn't see his name on the list last week, and then he was there. So I mean, I don't know. We'll see if he's there again tonight, but definitely Beamer will be the headliner.
Yeah, Lamont did speak when they were out in Charleston the other day. I think he may have been in Spartanburg too. I'm not sure, but we didn't really get a chance to dive into some of the stuff that he talked about last week, but I want to get into it now, including, and for context, this was Thursday before Davian Hannah had announced his commitment to South Carolina. So when he talks about things that are about to happen, he was alluding to Hannah, who of course was the 6th addition to South Carolina's 2027 or 2026, I guess, portal class. But he was asked, Lamont Paris was the other day, about kind of assessing the portal ads so far, and here is what Lamont had to say.
There were a lot of things I think just in, I guess what you feel like you're missing most recently is going to be a focal point in the nearest of futures. I think ultimately I keep using, I mean, those that know me, I speak in analogy at times, and so 2 years ago or a year ago, I don't even know, is this year or is this last year yet still, but Colin Murray Boyle's sophomore year, last year, we had the peanut butter of the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. If you're looking at our interior and our front court, was the strength of our team, clearly. This year, we had the jelly of the peanut butter and jelly. If you look at our perimeter group was decidedly our most productive group. And so while that's the freshest, you definitely want to make sure your front court is improved, deeper, but at the same time, you want to put peanut butter and jelly together, which is what we had 2 full seasons ago. And so that's been a priority. But certainly, when you look at some of the guys in the front court, we were very intentional about adding some things to the front court. An overall level of depth, experience, NCAA tournament experience, even some of the other teams that didn't have NCAA tournament experience. If you look at Corey Mincy, for example, they played in the NIT. They won 23 games. He was a key cog in what that looked like. So while he doesn't have NCAA tournament experience, he's been a winner. I think those were kinds of things that we were looking at trying to bring in with this class as well.
A lot to unpack there from what Lamont Paris had to say again last week out at the Charleston Garnet and Black road trip. I think it really speaks volumes to how poor your front court was when he says definitively the perimeter group was the best part of the team, because that area wasn't all that great either.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think it is kind of interesting to see. I think every guy that transferred out from South Carolina at this point, I think Cam Scott was the last guy to have found a home, and now he's at Temple. So all these guys, if I'm not mistaken, are going to mid-major programs.
That is correct.
Yes, which is, I think that kind of speaks a little bit to the team that they had, is just, you're not going to win with that group. You're doing yourself a disservice when, look, it's, let's call it for what it is. They are mid-major players, the guys that they had in last year's roster, and you're going up against an SEC, quality roster with a lot of other teams. That doesn't seem like a fair fight. So going out here and getting guys that, sure, some of them are from mid-majors, some of them are from smaller schools. We'll see. We'll see if it's any different this year. You're emphasizing getting more guys in that front court. We're seeing that with Bielauskas and Natchez. You're also just adding guys that can shoot. That's the main thing. They went out last year and added guys who they thought could shoot, and it just didn't work out. You're kind of hoping things can work out this year, and hopefully that the talent evaluation was a lot better in this cycle.
Yeah, because that's the thing, for last year's team, when Lamont was very, adamant of what the identity was of the team was supposed to be, he clearly built it that way. And even up into the preseason, I know we referenced that exhibition game against NC State a lot. We thought, okay, this is going to work. And then for whatever reason, once they actually got into the season, it just clearly didn't. And again, when you're a team that was built to shoot from the perimeter, as Lamont Paris alluded to a moment ago, and you had guys that couldn't make those shots, that kind of doomed the rest of the season. Now, again, as we went over last week, when Lamont was finally able to specifically talk about the guys they brought in, the statement that you put that you have on your story in Gamecock Central from the other day, he once again harped on everybody's three-point shooting ability. So very clearly that's going to be, once again, or at least attempt to be, the identity of this team. Hopefully, A, those shots are falling, and B, when you bring in guys like Bielauskas, when you bring in guys like Natchez to be potentially your front court starters, that they live up to the billing as well and can give you an identity under the basket that you didn't have this past year.
He is definitely right, though, about the peanut butter and jelly and analogy comparison sort of thing, where yes, they had one half of the sandwich or the topping, or I guess whatever the sauce, whatever you want to call peanut butter. I don't know. Is it a sauce technically? Not to get into that whole.
Well, that's like asking, is a hot dog a sandwich thing? Is a peanut butter a sauce? I would say no, but I think you can make the argument yes.
I don't know what else you really call it. But anyway, they had the peanut butter. They obviously did not have the jelly 2 years ago from the shooting standpoint. They didn't have it last year. They didn't have anything last year. They maybe just had the bread. They were just missing the toppings that go on it. So, you kind of need to get back to having that front court, which on paper seems like they have some guys in that front court that could be the bruisers that you need to compete in the SEC. That teams exposed you last year when they were just going inside on you and putting up 50-plus points in the paint, and it was just non-competitive from that standpoint. So you have to get better there. But you also have to get better from shooting, and just in general, from whether it's the outside or mid-range or whatever. You have to get better in those areas too. So, look, overall, those are the core facets of the game. You need to be better overall in general, and so far, Lamont has added guys that he thinks are those guys.
By the way, I think peanut butter, jelly, Nutella, things like that would be classified as a spread, not a sauce.
Spread, yes, that's
something
the word, yes,
that
spread.
you need a knife or a spoon to distribute across bread, crackers, whatever it may be. So I think that's its own specific category of spread, not sauce.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for, was spread. So, and look, he's the type of guy that brings up a lot of analogies, whether it's golf or I had not heard a peanut butter jelly one before, but it does make a lot of sense when you look at it. Like, yeah, CMB, Nick Pringle, they were pretty good for South Carolina on the interior 2 years ago. Obviously, CMB was the standout there. Pringle was a lot better than he had been at Alabama or even at Arkansas this past year. Like, he had his best season statistically at South Carolina, even though it wasn't always perfect. Again, the problem is they were missing those shooters on the outside. Like, imagine, I know a lot of people bring this up, imagine you had, a Michi shooting on the outside 2 seasons ago if he had transferred back to Ohio State. Like, maybe that makes a big difference. You just need that front court presence that is going to give you a chance to compete. Because more than anything, you got to be more physical in the paint, and hopefully the shooting will come along with that.
Lamont also last week, because, again, he spoke before Davey and Hannah committed, but with Hannah's commitment, that was the 6th add to your portal class for 2026, but there are still more spots to be filled on this roster, as we've talked about a lot over these past couple weeks. He did allude to the fact they're looking at some international players that, depending on where their seasons are at right now, may not be able to add right away, maybe have to wait a couple weeks on that. So it seems like they're probably going to go the international route to fill out what few spots they have left on the roster.
Now, I'm interested to see what that does, but also why that's the route. If he is there tonight, Lamont, that would be something worth asking, is why is that kind of the route that they're probably heading here? Is like, yeah, it seems like they're probably in on a few international guys. It's not the first time that they've added international players. It's not the first time that South Carolina's had international players in general. Like, they had, Gordon Cavage last year I can't remember where exactly he's from, but he's one of those international guys that they brought in. Mike Kotsar years ago. So they've had international guys before. But why is this the route they're going now? Is there something that they just saw in the evaluation that just makes those players better? Because a lot of those guys are coming from the pros.
Yeah.
So maybe that is something that having that experience does seem like something Lamont really wants to add.
And you are already adding international players with Belauskas, who was Lithuanian, I believe, and then Jakub Neches from the Czech Republic coming over from Duquesne. However, those guys are coming by the way of already being college basketball players, as opposed to adding guys from the professional ranks from overseas. And Terry and I were talking about this a little bit yesterday, and I will see if you agree with this. Would you agree that international players are maybe a little bit more fundamentally sound? Because Terry was talking about the way that they teach those guys over there. It's really harping on the fundamentals and basics to where you're getting more, I don't want to say efficiency necessarily, but more sound basketball when you add those type of guys, as opposed to maybe some of the people you would get that have just only played basketball in America.
There are a lot of good international players that are in the NBA. Like, obviously, you have your Giannis's of the world, your Lukas, your Nikola Jokic. So those are some of the best players in the NBA right there. And there's a lot more, but those guys are all international, and they come from a different background, and they're having a lot of success. Now, that's not to say that it's the same translation for college, but I think there is some merit to the idea that like you kind of said, Tyler, it's just different over there compared to here.
Yeah, so we'll see. Again, a few more spots to round out, but again, based on how things are going with international players and where their seasons are at and all that kind of stuff, we'll see how long it takes them to add. I think Lamont said he wants to get everybody here by the beginning of June, so still a couple more weeks there before they start stuff for the summertime. And obviously, as we've talked about plenty, this is truly a wait and see. Like, we can get somewhat excited about some of the names they brought in. People seem very high on Davian Hannah for what his upside potential is, but until you see it specifically against conference opponents coming up in January and February of 2027, you're not going to have any belief yet. And I think that's understandable for the fan base to be at that point.
Yeah, unless they go out here and beat some quality teams in non-conference play, which we just don't know what the schedule really looks like right now. They're obviously going to have a lot of lighter games on the schedule, presumably. History repeats itself here with how things have been over the past few years. But yeah, you're right. We really won't know what this team is or isn't until we get towards conference play, when you're actually facing teams that are a lot, very good teams out there.
Yeah, well, by the time South Carolina starts playing conference games in men's basketball, maybe we'll know what the future of the college football playoff for 2027 and beyond is, because there's some growing steam for an even more expanded playoff. We'll discuss that coming up on the other side and what that can mean for South Carolina in the future going forward as the Extra Point rolls along. Tyler Head and Jack Feltry on your Wednesday here on The Game.
All my sports. The Game Network. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 96.9 The Game in Charleston. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
South Carolina men's head basketball coach Lamont Paris is coming back next year, and Coach Paris has to fill out his roster, so the transfer portal will be vital to success in 2026-27.
All this isn't about just NIL. I think there are a lot of components to putting a team together. How do pieces fit together? What does a player play? The fashion and style of ball that you would like roles are important.
And the Game will dig into every player.
Even what they ate in elementary school.
On your home of everything Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game
and The Game Network.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at HerndonChevy.com.
All right, everybody, let's tell you about our presenting sponsor here on the Garnet Trust Hour. It's our friends over at Krantz Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing. KrantzCooling.com, Krantz, cooling with a K.com. You've heard us talk about them here on the program every single week. HVAC service, local, reliable for your home or your business. Repair, maintenance, and installation. They've been out to my home for new installations, for maintenance, for repairs. They've been out to Wes's home, too. You can trust Justin Krantz and his local family-owned business since 1983. They've been helping Midlands families and businesses with any of their HVAC needs. We're excited to say now they've added plumbing to the business. So whether you have heating needs, air quality for your indoor spaces, or plumbing needs now, 803-672-3224 or KrantzCooling.com. Give them a call today for any of your heating, cooling, plumbing needs.
Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Jay's Corner. Columbia's locally owned spot right across from the fairgrounds. With a direct view of Williams-Brice Stadium is your Gamecock headquarters. Catch every game on indoor and outdoor TVs. Or kick back on the patio with food the whole family will love. Burgers, wings, pulled pork, plus salads, wraps, and a kid-friendly menu. Join them for happy hour Monday through Friday, 4 to 7 p.m. $1 wings on Thursdays after 4. And $5 margaritas all day Friday. Enjoy live music Thursday through Saturday nights. And don't miss Saturday brunch with mimosa and Bloody Mary specials. Planning a party? Let Jay's Corner host or cater your next event. Jay's Corner. Great food, great vibes, right by the station. stadium. Jay's Corner is the sweet deal of the week. Beginning Friday at 9 a.m., head to 1075thegame.com. Click on Sweet Deals and grab a $50 certificate to Jay's Corner for just $25. Don't miss out.
Start your spring cleaning with Zerorez. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $109 plus a free hallway. No soap, no residue, no harsh chemicals, just a deeper clean that lasts. Plus, now you can also take $100 off air duct cleaning and breathe cleaner air. Visit ZerorezColumbia.com.
When you're looking for an attorney, you don't need to look far for legal support you can trust. I'm DeWanna Looper.
And I'm Joe Weidman.
We're not just the voices you hear, we're the faces you'll see if you come in. At Atkins Law, we believe you deserve a team that listens when you're in need. We're small on purpose, local by design, and serve with compassion.
Whether you've been hurt on the job or in a car wreck, recovery comes first. We'll handle the rest.
Remember, who you hire matters, so hire a team that cares. Check us out at HollyAtkinsLaw.com.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Come see the entire line of Whirlpool appliances at 1421 Atlas Road. Whirlpool offers bigger, better, and more efficient appliances, and Jeffers McGill offers the best in customer service and low prices. Jeffers McGill and Whirlpool, your home team.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Let me tell you, the Gunner family, myself, Ansley, Austin, there's no better time than sitting out back at Lake Murray and grilling up great steaks. You need to stop by Old Timey Meat Market today, one of the 3 locations, South Congaree, St. Andrews Road in Irma, or the Lexington store, and maybe you find a steak or chicken. Maybe you find pork. Old Timey Meat Market's got you taken care of. So visit one of the 3 stores today and tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
Old Timey Meat Market, quality selection, a cut above the rest.
Oh, yeah. The Extra Point with Tyler Head.
And the kick is good.
Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network.
All right, welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head, Jack Belcher with you on your Wednesday here on The Game. We are still over 100 days away from the college football season starting, but we continue to ask the same questions over and over again, Jack. What is the future of the college football playoff going to be? Past this year, we're locked into the 12-team playoff for at least another season, but past that, it seems like expansion is indeed on the horizon. How far it will go is the big question to be answered here. And according to Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports, last week, the American Football Coaches Association did hold a vote, and the AFC board swung its support behind 3 things: a playoff with maximum participation, which likely means 24, discontinuing conference championships, and ending the college football playoff by the 2nd week in January. Now, it's important to note that these people aren't in power of making the decisions, but this is the board of coaches saying these things, so the support for a potential 24-team playoff does seem to be growing more and more.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see whenever the next jump is made, whether it's to 16 or 24, because I feel like something is going to happen eventually. It's just, are they going to make the automatic jump from 12 to 24? That would be pretty big. Or is it 12 to 16? So, you know, it seems like there is a lot of momentum for 24, but I mean, I don't know how you feel, Tyler, but I'm not the biggest fan of 24. At that point, you're just getting a lot of teams that I think don't really deserve to be in, and then you're just setting yourself up for the 25th team that's left out to feel like, oh, I should have gotten in.
Yeah, and look, we've made our feelings known on this for a while, obviously, that I think most of us, most college football fans are in agreement that 24 is probably too much. I've kind of accepted the fact that 16 is probably going to happen, and it is what it is at this point. But I think 24 for most of us is a little bit too far, though, again, we're not the ones in charge of making the decisions, and if the Big Ten can finally convince the SEC, namely if Tony Petitti can convince Greg Sankey that's the way to go, this is going to happen, and we're going to have to live with it. So if it does happen, here's my question for you, Jack. Let's say the 2014 playoff starts in 2027, and whether it's Shane Beamer or somebody else coaching here at that point, that's a different conversation for a different time, depending on how the season obviously goes. Does making the playoff become a yearly expectation in a place like South Carolina if this thing expands to 24?
So with 24, I mean, it depends how it's all broken up too. Like, how many G5 bids are getting in? Like, you know, what's kind of the criteria? Like, is it a lot? Is it we've heard before? Is it like, you know how many automatic bids does each conference get? That it kind of just depends on that, to be honest. I would say, because I think maybe if you're just going 1 to 24. Typically about the 24th, 23rd team, you could be about a 9 to 8 win team at the end of the year. And maybe that's realistic, but at the same time, it's like, what is South Carolina going to be this year? Are they? Because I think South Carolina, typically in the last few years, outside of that 9-win season a few years ago, it kind of just feels like they're in that 7 to 8 win range, and that's typically not enough for the playoff, obviously. But in a 24 team, it could be. I don't know. I think it just depends on like what the real, like, how the breakup of that 24 actually looks.
So you're looking at two possible scenarios here. One being they just go with like conference standings, where you say, okay, we're going to take, let's say, 6 teams in the SEC, 6 teams in the Big Ten, so on and so forth. So your goal is to be within that top 6 in the SEC, or if they just go straight up rankings, be within that top 24, you know, when the final rankings get put out. And you're right, from a historical standpoint, South Carolina, like this past year obviously was far away from it, you know, has been, you know, a 6 to 7 win team. They jump up in there. They have 8-win seasons, 9-win seasons, had 10, 11-win seasons back when Spurrier was here. But I think when you lower the bar of entry, and this has been my pushback to the college football playoff expanding, is I'm a person that believes that playoffs in any sport should be exclusive, not inclusive. I want it to be harder to make it into the postseason than easier, but again, we're not the ones in charge, so this is probably going to end up happening, and it is what it is at that point. But if you're a team like South Carolina in the SEC, being, let's just say, the 6th team in the SEC, or being ranked inside the top 24, should not be a goal that you can accomplish on a year in, year out basis. Now, again, that doesn't guarantee they're going to do it, but it's one of those things that, like, you're now going into every season saying, hey, we should make the playoff, and there should be no excuse when you don't.
That's true. That's true. I just, again, it just depends on what the breakdown of those top 24 teams looks like. Because, yeah, if it is like, hey, all right, top 6 SEC teams get in, and, like, again, how many at-larges are there going to be, right? Like,
yeah.
How does that work? I feel like there's going to be minimal at-large spots when you start filling it up with all these automatic bids for the conferences and whatnot. And at that point, you're kind of, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just tough to say without knowing it. I feel like for South Carolina, if it is like a top 6 sort of thing, maybe that's doable every now and then. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Until you see South Carolina actually go out here and be consistently good, it's tough to automatically just put playoff expectations on them.
Well, and I think this would expand to the entire SEC, quite frankly, because here's the thing. When you look at the breakdown, if we went to 24 teams, now, yeah, one of those spots would end up going to a G5 team, theoretically, but still, you'd have 23 Power 4 spots likely in this 24-team playoff. That means like a third of Power 4 teams get in. There's only 70, I believe, counting Notre Dame and the Power 4 conferences and all that. So all you're asking for is to be in the top third of Power 4. I think not just for the SEC, I think every Power 4 program pretty much goes into every single year saying, hey, there's no reason why we shouldn't be in this thing. Because the barrier for entry is so low then.
Yeah, no, that's true. And if it is that way, then yeah, I think the expectation should be that high. But given the things that we've heard before, if this ever does come to fruition, it just does seem like the SEC and the Big Ten are going to be the 2 biggest, you know, brands in this sort of thing. They're going to have the most say. They're going to get the most teams in. And I think, you know, I think it is going to come down to automatic bids, and that might be what ultimately gets the SEC to, like Greg Sankey, to want to do this. And yeah, I think it just depends on how it all shakes out from that standpoint.
Well, would expanding the playoffs truly devalue the regular season? Kirby Sparks spoke about that on Josh Pate's podcast the other day. We'll hear what he had to say coming up next It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Feltry on your Wednesday here on The Game.
Wow, what a play. The Game Network. Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
Since that win at Clemson by the Gamecocks, things haven't gone well. Let's spin back to the good old days on the Game Network.
He's been carried off this field before wearing different colors. Tonight, as a head coach of South Carolina, he wins the SEC East, and the Gamecocks are heading to Atlanta. Congratulations, Steve Spurrier in South Carolina.
Now that's some good feels right there. From 107.5 The Game and the Game Network.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Twin Peaks Scratch Kitchen scores every time. Dig into hand-smashed burgers, chef-inspired flatbreads, and more at your local lodge.
Hi there, this is Steve Ard with Local Waste Service. The Ards have been in the waste business for over 60 years, and I want to introduce my new waste company, Local Waste Service. We are a locally owned company that provides front-end, roll-off service for all your waste needs. We also do recycling and compactors, so look us up at localwastesc.com. That's localwastesc.com.
Where your trash is our business.
Hey, this is Jen Jensen for CHW Cabinetry. My family is using CHW Cabinetry, and they are fantastic to work with. They make sure you're satisfied with every step of the process. Not only do their photorealistic renderings show exactly what your new space will look like, their job site guarantees everyone is on the same page, literally. Experience the CHW difference for yourself. Go to chwcabinetry.com to see more, or call them at 803-520-6837, and be sure to tell them Jen Jensen sent you. CHW Cabinetry, passion from inspiration to installation.
The cost of higher ed seems higher than ever. So for most, there's a difference between what scholarships cover and what school really costs. Fortunately, South Carolina Student Loan has been helping students and families close that price tag gap for 50 years. We're here for you to help cover tuition, books, meals, housing, and other educational expenses. Plus, because we're a not-for-profit, we're able to offer competitive rates and flexible options. So get the money you need for school today at scstudentloan.org.
Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass.
Enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
I was feeling the same way. After 40, the body has less testosterone, and men lose their edge. That's why I take Nugenix Total T2.
That's the testosterone booster, right?
Yes, but Total T2 is their brand new formula that skyrockets nitric oxide levels in as little as 3 hours. Since I started taking it, I've been lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. My energy is way up, and it even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles?
Yep, just send a text.
Text HIM to 215-215 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2, the next generation testosterone booster. Text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text HIM to 215-215. That's HIM to 215-215.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Paid for by Adaptive Health.
At Atkins Law, we believe that if you've been hurt on the job or in a car wreck, recovery should come first. I'm Dewana Looper.
And I'm Joe Weidman.
We're not just the voices you hear, we're the faces you'll see if you come in.
Accidents can cause a lot of stress and worry. Our team shows up for you during those difficult times by offering thoughtful guidance.
We're small on purpose, local by design, and serve with compassion.
Remember, who you hire matters. Check us out at hollyatkinslaw.com.
Jim Rome takes on sports.
Why? Because I have a job to do.
With rapid-fire takes.
So I don't want to hear from you lava pigs on this notion today. No idea what you're talking about. You're complaining more than you like to breathe air. It's like you get up in the morning only to complain and cry and moan on social media about things that you don't even understand.
He's the Spitfire of sports smack.
Take advantage of it. Get up in here.
The Jim Rome Show podcast.
What's your beef?
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
You've been warned.
What team sprung a leak this weekend? Sponsored by American Leak Detection on the Extra Point.
All right, welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Belcher with you on your Wednesday here on the game. We'll get into what Kirby Smart had to say about a possible expanded college football playoff in a second. But first, Jack, it is time for Who Sprung a Leak, brought to you by our friends over at American Leak Detection. Yesterday, the SEC softball tournament, first of all, South Carolina got bounced in their first game out there, so they're awaiting their fate for the NCAA tournament coming up here in a couple days. But Kentucky, riding a 23-game winless streak in conference play as the number 15 seed, was leading Mississippi State 3-1 going into the final inning. And they end up falling 4-3. Some errors in the bottom of that final inning end up costing Kentucky the game. Heartbreaker, 24-game conference losing streak for a Kentucky team that is not going to be playing in the NCAA tournament coming up here in a couple weeks. What a horrible way to end what's been a disappointing season.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's probably a fitting end to the season considering they've lost this many games at this point. And they're at their home field because the tournament is taking place out there in Lexington. But, yeah, no doubt a heartbreaking loss yesterday. And then, obviously, South Carolina followed afterwards with a really abysmal offensive showing. It's kind of been the story of the year for South Carolina, too. It's like they just cannot score runs. The pitching has been okay, but especially Jory Hurt, she's been great. But, man, you should be able to win a game when your pitching only gives up 2 runs. Yeah,
softball getting no runs on only 4 hits very much sounded like a baseball team that we've talked about a lot this year, doesn't it?
Yeah, it totally does, especially in the late innings where, you got 2 on, and then your best hitter's coming up, and, she's not able to get a big hit. And I'm talking about Ari Rhodey there,
right.
Grounding out. But, yeah, just a tough week for South Carolina softball. They've lost, 4 straight games with Alabama, and then this one to Ole Miss heading into the NCAA. They're going to be fine for the tournament. They'll be a 2 seed somewhere, but, yeah, definitely not what you want to do going into the NCAA tournament on a 4-game skid. And
they'll find out their destination with Selection Sunday coming up later on this week. We're talking about the college football playoff as it's likely set to expand. Again, the American Football Coaches Association, they voted to expand to the maximum of up to 24. Again, they don't make the decisions, but a lot more steam growing for this playoff to grow. And at this point, I've almost kind of accepted the fact that it's probably going to go to 24 in 2027. But the question with that, with any expansion, when we went from 2 to 4, when we went from 4 to 12, when we go from 12 to 16 or 12 to 24, the question of will it devalue the regular season will be a hot button topic. And Kirby Smart, of course, Georgia football head coach, was on Josh Pate's show earlier on this week and was asked that specific question. Does he think expanding the playoffs will devalue the regular season? Here's what he had to say.
I agree with all those. I just don't know where that line of demarcation is, because you're saying, okay, we got 4, then we're 12, and now you're saying, okay, is it 16? 24 is too many. I don't know where the line is drawn on that, because for Miami, who legitimately, now I won't say should have won, but could have won the national championship. They could have won it. They had 2 losses to teams that are really competitive. I mean, they're competitive to them in their conference, but maybe they're better than. They shouldn't lose those games. They had 2 games they shouldn't lose. And I feel like for 10 years I've been here, if you lost 2 games you shouldn't lose, you're gone, you're out. But they were good enough to win it. Why does that not stand for basketball and baseball? Because they lose games they shouldn't lose all the time. It's a different sport. They play way more often. Their games are less meaningful. than our games, and I do think that we're going to make some of our games maybe less meaningful, less impactful, but they will still matter in the grand scheme of things, especially towards the end of the season. So I'm a fan of 16 to 24 because of what you said, the currency and what we're measured by as coaches. I want to get my team in there as an opportunity. I want my fan base to be engaged, and it's gotten to the point now that if you're not in there, there's no value in a good old bowl game. Let's go play over in this bowl game, and let's send out the seniors, and let's give them a, whatever the name of the bowl is, and nobody cares about that anymore. Yeah. We've made it that way. So if we're going to make it that way, we might as well put more in it and get everybody in and let them go play, and then does anybody even play a game outside the playoffs? Because the kids are disinterested past the playoffs. The fans are disinterested past the playoffs. Now, the value for you is you got a lot more meaningful games during the year when that thing's 12 or 16 because somebody's getting bumped at the end.
And on a quick note here, he talks about that currency. He's talking about the way coaches are judged, right? And if you expand the playoff, and this is why I think a lot of these coaches are in support of it, that opens up more of a pathway for coaches to be able to say, hey, I got my team in the playoff. You're not even thinking about firing me. I'm getting contract extensions and all that kind of stuff because, like you said, you're being judged truly on if you make the postseason or not. So expand that out, opens up that opportunity for more coaches to be able to say, hey, we were a playoff team last year. Or I've been in the playoff, 3 out of 4 years, and that just looks better overall and can keep you in one place longer than, we've had in years past. But what he mentioned there about the regular season, I do think it's interesting because I think, and we're not truly going to know until we experience it firsthand, because I think there was, concern when we went from 4 to 12, like, the regular season is not going to mean anything. And I don't think that's true. I think the regular season still means a lot. But when you double it, that's where the concern comes in. But Kirby Smart is right in the fact that he said you have more games that mean something, but some of the bigger games aren't going to mean as much, right? Like, we're going to, in a 2014 playoff, you may be watching a game in early November between 2 3-loss Big 12 teams that has playoff implications because they're fighting for, the 4th or 5th spot in the Big 12, which would get them in to the college football playoff. But let's say Alabama and LSU play as 2 10-0 teams in late November, number 1 versus number 2 or 3 or 4 or something along those lines. The loss of that, whoever loses that game, relatively inconsequential except for like seeding purposes, right? So more games matter, but at the same time, the bigger games won't matter as much, if that makes sense.
I agree with some of what Kirby said there, but also I disagree with what he had to say with the first part. Like, let me get the part of what I agree with him on. Like, the second part of it, bowl games are essentially meaningless now. So why not just expand it a little bit more to kind of not eliminate them? Maybe you make some of those bowl games that aren't CFP bowl games into CFP bowl games. That makes sense. Like your Citrus Bowls and your other games like that. Make those a part of your playoff games to make those bowls, I guess, a little bit more intriguing, obviously, because I think we are heading into the path where at some point, I don't know if bowls will ever get eliminated, but the value of them is so much decreased now versus 10 years ago. The part I disagree with him on, though, is that what he kind of had to say about what games are meaningful and what's not. I think if we're expanding, that's just something that's going to come with it. You're making like you brought up as an example, Tyler. Like, if 2 teams are 10-0 in week 10 or 11, then the significance of a loss is not as big. I think that's what makes college football such an interesting sport and so different from these other sports that he mentions, like football and or baseball and basketball, is that in football, you only get 12 games, and if you lose 2 games, maybe you lose 3 games, you're done. Like, if you lose 2, you're kind of fighting for your life, essentially. And I think that's the drama of it, I think, is what makes college football so interesting and so different from these other sports, because you can handle a loss at any point in college basketball or college baseball. It may hurt your RPI or your 10-pound ranking or whatever, or your net, but ultimately, at the end of the day, you have chances to bounce back from it. Football is a little different. You lose 2 games, you're kind of on the edge. So I agree with his point on the 16 to 24. Like, the reason to expand makes sense with bowl games kind of dying a little bit. But, losing the significance of the games by adding more teams, and that's kind of a consequence of its own fall.
Well, and the reason this conversation comes up, and look, you and I are under the age of 30, but we're still old enough to remember the BCS era and the 14 playoff era, because they weren't all that long ago, where the regular season truly meant everything. Look, if college football had a 24-team playoff since its inception back in the 1800s or whatever, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. But we've seen such a large sample size of college football when, the polls were deciding champions. Then we went to 2 teams getting to play for the championship, to 4 teams, to now 12 teams. We've seen the regular season matter so much through 99% of the history of college football. Now we're teetering on changing that, and I think that's why this conversation comes up so much, because all of us remember the value of it just a handful of years ago with those other formats that seems to be getting watered down the more teams you add to this thing.
And I think that's where the breakdown, like we mentioned before, of how is it going to look with how many teams get in from each conference. Like, are they going to go down the automatic bid route with each team getting a certain amount of bids? Are they going to go down the best 24? Is it going to be similar to how they do the 12-team playoff, like with a lot of at-larges? Like, it's really going to depend. And I think that's where you could figure out what the value is. Because, yes, I think if it's automatic bids for each league, then, yeah, you lose a lot of value. But if it's still at-larges and you have a committee kind of deciding who gets in and whatnot, then, yeah, there is some significance to the games, because you truly don't know if you're automatically in as a 3-loss team, a 4-loss team. Like, it could come down to what's your strength of schedule, what teams did you beat, who'd you lose to. Like, that's, I think, where all of that still matters, even if you expand a little bit.
Well, again, we're still twiddling our thumbs, waiting for the powers that be to decide what the future of this thing's going to be. But this conversation and debate is certainly not going to be going away, and we'll see. I don't know if anybody's going to ask Beamer about it tonight, but I'll know his thoughts, because I don't think we've heard him talk specifically about a 2014 playoff up to this point yet.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what he has to say. I'm sure he'll be asked tonight.
So we'll react to that if he does get asked about that coming up tomorrow. But coming up next to round out the Extra Point, I'm going to talk some racing with Jen Jensen from the early game. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Feltry on your Wednesday on the Game.
All my sports. The Game Network. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 96.9 The Game in Charleston. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
This is Elijah Campbell from 107.5 The Game and The Game Network. If you run a diner, bakery, coffee shop, burger joint, pizza spot, or that hidden gem everybody should know about, how would you like to get the word out about your business without spending a dime? Well, we got you. All you have to do is text your name, your business, and your phone number to 803-404-6100, and we'll be in touch. There is no catch. We know times are tough, but we would love to help you out and your business.
This is a Westwood One Sports Minute.
Spurs young phenom center Victor Wembanyama had 12 blocks, an NBA postseason record, and San Antonio's loss in Game 1 to Minnesota, but went 0 of 8 from downtown, which would be like a Michelin star chef serving the best appetizer you've ever had, the best drinks you've ever had, and then a frozen pizza with mozzarella sticks as the entree. Hey, Victor, you're 7'6". Maybe drive down the lane and dunk the basketball coming up in Game 2. I'm Nick Costos.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Now that Wendy's has these new biggie deals, everyone in the family can get what they're craving, from nugs to JBCs. The parental units can get an $8 biggie bundle, the eldest who think they're so grown can get a $6 biggie bag, and the little one who can do no wrong can get a $4 biggie bites. You know, assuming they have a credit card. No, I'm kidding. We take cash too. 4, 6, and $8 biggie deals for the whole family. Only at Wendy's.
Price and participation may vary. Single items at regular price. Prices may be higher in Alaska, California, and Hawaii.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
In today's fast-moving job market, staying ahead means keeping your skills sharp. At University of Maryland Global Campus, we help keep your capabilities cutting edge with our skills-based education programs designed to move your career forward. Explore more than 135 degrees and certificates in business, cybersecurity, and more. Apply now and save with no application fee. Classes start May 13th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Well, good morning, kiddo. I love that you're home from college. I've missed you.
Still taking your Nature Made vitamins?
Every day. A multivitamin and a probiotic. You better be taking yours.
Still looking out for me, Mom.
I'll never stop.
Made to care for you every day. Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Find us in the vitamin aisle, based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
Snapshot from Progressive wasn't created for just anybody. Oh no, we made it for you. Smooth accelerators. When that light turns green, you're off. Like a warm knife through firm butter. Going from 0 to the speed limit in an appropriate amount of time. Sure, your car has horsepower, but your horses prance around as silky smooth as your right foot. Fancy Prancerton. With Snapshot, safe drivers like you get personalized rates based on your driving habits. Sign up today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents.
Oh, yeah. The Extra Point with Tyler Head.
And the kick is good.
Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network.
All right, welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head wrapping up hour number 2 here on your Wednesday on the Game. Time to talk some racing with Jen Jensen from the early game. And for the second time so far this season, Chase Elliott picking up the win on Sunday in the NASCAR Cup Series, this time at Texas. Funny enough, Jen, a track that he's loathed quite a bit in the past, but he's won 2 out of the last 3 races there. First time he's won 2 races this early into a season. Chase Elliott off to a really good start.
I'm excited for him. I think the Hendrick team's obviously thrilled with his performance, and it seems like sometimes it'll take him a little bit to get going. He's it seems like in the spring he kind of starts getting his feet wet, but by mid-season he gets going. But all of a sudden things have started clicking, and I'm thrilled, totally thrilled for him.
Yeah, and they're a team that you look at as more of a consistent type of team, not one that's going to go out there and win 5 to 6 races in a season, though they've done that before, but really kind of in the next-gen era after the first year where he won, I believe, 5 races. They've been kind of a one-ish type win team a season, but they're very consistent. They run the top 5, run the top 10, which, hey, with the Chase returning, that'll win you a championship, obviously, but really ahead of schedule, I feel like, for where we typically expect this team to be win-wise, 11 races into the season.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure if the races are getting called better, if the team is just working together better. I'm not sure what exactly is leading to the successes, but I definitely enjoy seeing it and seeing celebrations and being able to have the siren go off.
Yeah, it's the siren.
Siren. I'm sorry. I don't know if I can pull that off.
Yeah, up at the pool room in Dawsonville. For those that don't know, that they started a tradition with when his dad was racing that every time he won, they'd blare this basically police siren, and they started picking that up with Chase when he got his career going. So it was probably loud and proud on Sunday. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, big time.
Well, he was benefited by some of the chaos in this race because I really think Christopher Bell had claim to maybe one of the best cars on the day, but he gets taken out in stage number 1 when Todd Gilliland spins in front of him. You just had a lot, and this is kind of what's become expected of Texas here as of late, a lot of single car incidents, a lot of turmoil throughout the day. That leads to a pretty compelling race because you kind of don't know who's going to overstep that line at what point. And on Sunday, Christopher Bell was one of the early victims of that, getting caught up in what happened with Todd Gilliland.
Yeah, and you didn't expect, when you have, I think it was 4 single car incidences during that race. I mean, that's quite a bit for especially a Cup Series race. But to see even Kyle Larson, it stepped out on him and kind of ruined his day. You had goofy things happen like Joey Logano in the pits making a mistake where that was just catastrophic. So it actually made it a very entertaining race where you just didn't know, who was going to finish.
Well, and it wasn't without a share of controversy, as in the late stages of the race, the last lap, you had the incident with Kyle Busch and John Hunter Nemechek. John Hunter Nemechek also got bloodied on pit road. We still don't quite know how that happened. Ryan Preece and Ty Gibbs get into it during the race. We just found out a little while ago that Ryan Preece has been fined $50,000 and 25 points for basically admitting that he was going to run into Ty Gibbs after those two guys had some disagreements in traffic earlier on in the race. And, NASCAR looks through all the video, they go over all the radio communication. And if you say, hey, I'm going to take the guy out or something to that effect, and you go and do it, then they will hold that against you. And for Preece, especially for somebody that is in the chase right now, but could be on that bubble by the time we get to race number 26, that 25 points is huge.
Yeah, I was going to say, of the two penalties, $50,000, yeah, that's a lot. But for him, the 25 points is really a lot harder to recoup, I think.
Yeah, and that took him. So he was 12th in points leaving the race on Sunday. That bumped him down one extra spot. Again, he's still in as of right now, but that margin over the chase line is only a little over 40 points with a lot of racing left to go. Now, they've shown good speed, so I don't doubt his ability to keep running consistently, but you've lost a little bit of a mulligan with those 25 points that, again, I wouldn't be surprised if we're sitting here after, Daytona in August saying, man, Preece missed it by 12 points, really shouldn't have had that penalty in Texas. That could have been the difference.
Yeah, some of that stuff will come back to bite you at the end where you think, well, it's okay. It's still fairly early in the season, but you're right. That could be costly for him. I hope not, because they've been showing some, like you said, some consistency.
Kyle Busch not penalized. Again, it did look intentional when you watch the replay that he did wreck John Hunter Nemechek on the last lap. The SMT data, apparently, according to NASCAR, shows that he was trying to turn the other direction. Car was wrecked and couldn't do anything with it. So he got off the hook. However, between this, what happened with Riley Herbst at the end of the Bristol race a couple weeks ago, he's starting to have these things pop back up again. And it seems like NASCAR is going to have a conversation with him to try and prevent these kind of things from happening if they can in the future. So no penalty, but a warning at least.
Yeah, and what he was saying on the radio and stuff, it's a little bit on the damning side. It really, if the SMT data had shown anything more, it would have cost him, because it just, what he was saying, and I know he's frustrated, but he does have a new crew chief for this week. So hopefully, and really he'd been running pretty well where he was like top 10. He could have had a top 10 finish, and with whatever happened, he ended up finishing 20th. So and maybe anger had nothing to do with his finish completely, but he's going to have to get himself a little more under control. He's looking like the old Kyle Busch, or sounding kind of like the old Kyle Busch.
It is really funny for both him and his brother. As they get older, things change and all that kind of stuff. But there are certain moments where the old versions of themselves always seem to come out. And for Kyle Busch, and I get it, it's been very frustrating these past couple of years at RCR. Again, he's only, I think, doing himself more harm if these things keep happening. So we'll see if that talk from NASCAR ends up cooling him off at all.
Yeah, let's hope. I don't know. Maybe the wife and kids will have a little conversation with him, tell him to calm down.
Yeah, we'll certainly see. Real quick, last thing here. Carson Osvar attending the Met Gala the other day. First driver since Jeff Gordon to do that. We talked last week about him being in position to kind of be that next superstar of the Cup Series. And as silly as it sounds, like being in attendance for these kind of events that a lot of people pay attention to, like that steps along the way of like being that crossover star that NASCAR hasn't had in a long time.
Yeah, he's, he has just enough personality in him that he can get away with a lot of things and can show up at a lot of different events and just charm people. He's witty, and his interest in Sabrina Carpenter has been pretty fun to.
I don't think you got to meet her.
I don't think so. Yeah, so I feel like probably the powers that be somewhere maybe can make that happen. But he sure made comments on a couple different occasions.
I was going to say, if his star power continues to grow, he'll get his opportunity at some point, I'm sure.
I think so. It is pretty cute, actually.
Yeah, we'll be rooting for him in that regard for sure. But Watkins Glen this weekend should be fun on the road course. And again, then we're kind of officially a fourth of the way through the season, believe it or not.
Oh, my gosh. And I can't believe, Coca-Cola 600 is just around the corner. And all engines firing for the summer. We're looking forward to it. And we'll break it down next week. Appreciate it as always, Jen. Thanks so much. That'll do it for the Extra Point. Coming up next, Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs on your Wednesday on the Game.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at HerndonChevy.com.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
I was feeling the same way. After 40, the body has less testosterone, and men lose their edge. That's why I take Nugenix Total T2.
That's the testosterone booster, right?
Yes, but Total T2 is their brand new formula that skyrockets nitric oxide levels in as little as 3 hours. Since I started taking it, I've been lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. My energy is way up, and it even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles?
Yep, just send a text.
Text HIM to 215-215 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2, the next generation testosterone booster. Text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text HIM to 215-215. That's HIM to 215-215.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Paid for by Adaptive Health.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass, shepherdsglass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia, The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass.
BOGO is back at iMart Express.
Come on. Okay.
Right now, for a limited time only, new customers can buy their first pair of glasses and get a second pair free. Plus, with eye exams available and same-day glasses, you'll never miss a moment. It's the kind of savings and service you can really get used to.
Okay.
Find a location near you at imartexpress.com to shop our BOGO event today and see everything we have in store for you. iMart Express. Get glasses. Go see.
Start your spring cleaning with Zerorez. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $109 plus a free hallway. No soap, no residue, no harsh chemicals, just a deeper clean that lasts. Plus, now you can also take $100 off air duct cleaning and breathe cleaner air. Visit ZerorezColumbia.com.
Hey guys, it's Jay Phillips for AAA Heating and Air. You know, every homeowner's dream is a house that cleans itself, right? Well, we might not be able to do that, but what if you could clean your air without lifting a finger, even when you're sleeping? AAA Heating and Air offers indoor air quality products that do just that. These products work with your HVAC system to improve your home's air quality. Cleaning the air eliminates common household odors, removes allergens and pollutants, and can even improve sleep and reduce the spread of some viruses. And remember, at AAA Heating and Air, home comfort is their top priority. Call today to schedule a seasonal maintenance appointment. Let AAA Heating and Air's qualified technicians put your mind at ease with a thorough inspection and cleaning of your heating and cooling system. Join their popular AAA Comfort Club to take advantage of extras like flexible visits, added discounts, and priority scheduling. Let AAA Heating and Air take your comfort to the next level. Call 803-677-1500 and schedule today.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
This Mother's Day, don't just hand Mom a card, give her something special, something that lasts, something that says, I love you, I appreciate you, I'm grateful for everything you've done. At Traditions, they've got pearls, gold, colored gemstone jewelry, and diamonds, all at the best prices around, starting at just $29. Visit Traditions and make this Mother's Day one she'll never forget. Traditions Fine Jewelers on Sunset in Lexington and by the fountain at Sandhills.
Looking for a truck dealership that treats you like family? Come to Herndon Chevrolet, your truck headquarters, proudly serving Lexington and the Midlands for over 50 years. Whether you're after a brand new Silverado, a tough pre-owned truck, or expert service, you'll find it all right here with a huge selection and the best truck deals around. There's no better place to shop. Visit HerndonChevy.com or stop by today.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile.
Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station. The Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Tyler Head, along with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central. Sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network and on the 107.5 The Game app.
11 o'clock on your Wednesday morning. Welcome in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, Chris Clark. Wes Mitchell will be joining us in a moment. He's handling some business on the phone, so I'm assuming it's something huge, something very important.
Huge. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
groundbreaking.
Whenever you guys have your business calls and stuff like that, I'm just assuming, this is something major news we're going to get to talk
There's
about.
no chance it's anything like
Nothing
personal,
routine.
important.
No
Yeah, it has to
doctor's
be.
appointments, no, checking on the car in the shop or anything like that. Whenever you guys are on the phone, it's always something very, very important, right, Wes?
Always. I just can't tell you what it is.
Exactly. That makes it even more important that it's top secret until we find out. And then, when the news comes out, us be like, yeah, that's what I was on the phone about the other day.
Maybe soon I'll tell you, Tyler.
Can you tell us what it pertains to?
No.
No? Even better.
I'm just messing with you.
When you can't tell us anything, that means it's huge.
Yep. Maybe some baseball news. Maybe. I'm just kidding.
Wes
I don't have any.
Wes knows who the next head coach is going to be already. That's what he's telling us.
Do not put that on me.
I'm not going to put that on you. We've got quite a bit of time before we figure that out, roughly a month or so from now. But nevertheless, it's going to be an interesting process. And that kind of leads to the question that I started off the show with Jack about 2 hours ago, because we asked the poll question yesterday on Twitter. Bill and I did. Are coaching searches fun or stressful? Now, fun won with about 2/3 of the vote yesterday. And now, again, that's looking at it from a fan's perspective. You guys obviously are in a different space when it comes to covering a coaching search, talking to sources, and all that kind of stuff. Do you find these kind of things fun or stressful?
I think they can be fun. Little behind-the-scenes tip. Coaching searches are good for business. So
a lot of clicks.
People like to read. People like every little tidbit they can get. I would say this, man. I think it can be fun. I actually very much enjoyed the kind of Kendall Briles offensive staff reset chase, so to speak. It's fun when you're getting some answers, if that makes sense. Like when you're like, okay, I feel good enough about what I'm hearing to put something out, and that stuff can be fun. The plane tracking stuff, even though there's probably some people at the university that do not like that part. I think that stuff is very fun. Like it just, to me, like that's an example of the passion that is at play here. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that you literally are tracking the plane, that you have fans going down to Owens Field that's a real thing. To see who's hopping off this plane. Like that to me is what makes college athletics cool. Like, the other side of it, the people cussing out Kiffin when he's getting on the plane to leave. That's Charlie. That's Charlie. Have you seen that video, Tyler?
Yeah.
Where that's Charlie, and then even Lane put something on Twitter about it the other day. I think even he thought it was funny. That's Charlie, and then instantly turns to just disgust that Charlie Weiss Jr. is getting on the plane too. I mean, that stuff to me is awesome. And so yeah, if you've got the goods, if you've got some stuff to deliver, then it is fun. It can be a little bit. It's more hectic, I feel like, than stressful. Where it gets a little bit stressful is there's just so much misinformation that you're trying to sort through. I mean, one of the OC names that was talked about, I mean, quite a bit. We were trying to get more, and I've finally connected with somebody like very, very close to this coach, like that would know, and they're like, yeah, no, we've heard we've had one call, and it was a preliminary interest call. Like I haven't even talked to Shane Beamer, and so then you're like, well, wow, where is all this coming from? You know what I'm saying? So I would say I think they're fun for fans. I think they are. It introduces passion from the fan base too, because you're going to get some opinions on these guys, man. Like, you're going to have people, this would be the worst hire ever. This would be the best hire. Like, you get all that wrapped up into, like, a few weeks worth of just insanity.
Well, and I think for a lot of fans, as the search begins, I think people fixate on certain candidates, right? Like, oh, that's my guy. That's who I want. So if that's who they choose, that's great. You know, it's going to be the greatest coach ever, greatest hire ever. It's going to be fantastic. If they don't go with the person you want, then you're kind of on the negative campaign of they're stupid, this was dumb, this guy's never going to work out. Obviously, time tells with all those kind of things, but it does. The search creates that certain passion for certain candidates based on how you feel as a fan, they're qualified or not.
And that is what makes it fun. I mean, now, are there some parts, like, I think the actual answer, at least for me, is it's fun and stressful most of the time. I mean, you're right, Wes. If you get in a position where you can get some actual info, the goods, so to speak, on it, it becomes a little bit more fun on your side. But then to your point, Tyler, if the goods are something that is kind of polarizing in the fan base, like I remember two examples. I was talking about this with Wes the other day. You know, I have videos of me. I had two babies basically during the Muschamp coaching search, and you know, go back every now and then, and let's go look at some baby videos. And I'm like holding a child, and another one's down there doing tummy time or whatever, and like I'm talking to Wes on the phone. Yeah, blah blah blah. Will Muschamp, you know, like talking about the coaching search. I mean, during the OC search that led to Dow Loggins. I mean.
I was in Aruba.
Wes was in Aruba. It was in December, so you're like trying to be in the Christmas spirit.
Yeah.
Right? And then, you know, on top of that, like I got super sick, some mystery illness. So I'm laid up in bed trying to work, and then I'm looking at like all this vitriol online. You're just like, oh, man, this is not fun. This is not fun. Right? But a lot of it is, and I mean, that fan passion is awesome. First of all, that's the reason that we can be here. It's the reason Wes and I get to work for Gamecock Central is that passion, and I definitely recognize that and appreciate it. I mean, TexAgs, legendary Texas A&M website, I mean, they had a dude post from outer space on their message board. You know, he's on the International Space Station posting on their premium board. So there's a lot of passion, and that's what makes it fun. There's part of it, like, there is, I mean, just honestly, there's some, like, adrenaline to it, you know, when you're trying to follow a coaching search and get that info. It's so important to so many people. It drives so much business, like Wes said, but it's fun. You know, that part of it is definitely fun.
And again, we asked this question on the Twitter yesterday, and 2/3 of the vote came in with fun over stressful. And I think for people kind of looking at this from the context of what this baseball coaching search is, I think there's a fun element too of the newness of Jeremiah Donati being the person in charge of hiring. And you know, everybody has their different opinions. I think a lot of fans wouldn't have been as excited if Ray Tanner was still in charge of making this hire, just based on how they feel coaching searches have gone in the past. So having a new guy come in and make his first major hire here at Carolina, and look, we don't know what his candidate list is. We don't know. I know they're going to use a search firm, but we don't know what the whole process is going to look like, who's going to be here flying into town, eating at Halls or whatever it may be. So I think there's an excitement of seeing how he goes about this first major hire for a program that people care so much about here.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got so many layers to this thing, man, not to mention just the layer of you have one of the most sought-after coaches in the country for baseball right here in your state at a school that actually used to be a part of your university. So there's a lot of layers to this thing that I think just add to the interest. And, you know, I think the fact that South Carolina baseball is now a program that has history, but currently is you're not looking at it if you're a coach coming in as, oh, I have to keep this thing going. Like, there's been plenty of time since South Carolina was top of the mountain. Now you can put your own stamp on this thing. So I think before there was maybe a certain fit you were looking for in terms of, like, who's somebody that can kind of continue the same approach South Carolina baseball has had in recent memory. Now, because you have a someone who's come in, Donati, who's not someone who's like worked their way up at South Carolina. He came in from an outside source at TCU. He's going to have his own approach on what makes a successful coach in a particular sport. Then you just add in the fact that whoever it is going to be able to put their own stamp on this thing. I think it feels quite a bit to me like a fresh start for the program, which what we've seen as of late, I think certainly should make people excited.
Yeah, speaking of fan passion, I saw a post on, I think it was on our board the other day, that was just clean out everything, janitors, and I don't know if you have to go that extreme, but like that fresh start, I think is absolutely on the mind of Jeremiah Donati and the fan administration. I mean, everything we've heard points toward a national search. Who it is, like anybody who's saying, I know who the next coach is going to be, no, that has not been close to determined yet. Have they done some background research on guys? Have they heard from guys? Are they getting the lay of the land? Absolutely, but we don't know. And I think that new coach is going to have resources from Jeremiah Donati, from the athletics department and the school. I think there's going to be, we'll have to see who it is, but I think there'll be that renewed, you've talked about this a lot, Wes, like that renewed fan support of just kind of that shot, that you need to get some more excitement. And I think they're going to have carte blanche to be able to run their own program. How do you want to structure this thing, and let's go make it happen.
Yeah, we'll get into more of this conversation on the other side. Also talk some football later on in the hour, as well as the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, rolls along here on your Wednesday on The Game.
Wow, what a play. The Game Network. Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
Here at The Game, we're expanding our local lineup. Starting on Monday, May 11th at 6 p.m., we debut Connecting Carolinas with Scott Hamilton. Presented by FanStream Sports. From 6 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, right here on The Game. You could also ask Scott if he can still do that backflip on ice skates.
Most of us can't imagine watching figure skating without Scott Hamilton being a part of it.
What's that? Oh, it's not that Scott Hamilton. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at HerndonChevy.com.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they were very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because Rhino Shield is backed by a 25-year warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick. Put down that paintbrush and pick up your phone. Call Rhino Shield at 833-RHINO-99. Call now and receive 15% off the regular price. Or go to RhinoShieldCarolina.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
For your 15% off, call now, 833-RHINO-99. Or go to RhinoShieldCarolina.com.
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass.
Spring cleaning starts with Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Mention 107.5 The Game. Get 3 rooms cleaned for $109 plus a free hallway. No one cleans like Zerorez. No soap, no residue, no harsh chemicals, just carpets that stay cleaner longer. Take $100 off air duct cleaning for a limited time. Air ducts circulate the air you breathe, and dust can end up right back on your floor, so don't wait. May appointments are filling up very fast. Visit ZerorezColumbia.com to book today.
Email hijacking and ransomware are on the rise, and they're targeting your business. Once your data is out there, there's no fix, no reset. Do you know where your business is vulnerable right now? Find out with a cybersecurity audit from IntelliSystems. IntelliSystems is one of the few firms worldwide that's GTIA Cybersecurity Trustmark Assured, meaning the highest global standards. They find gaps before criminals do. Schedule your audit now. IntelliSystems.com.
The 2026 Gamecock football season will be here before you know it, which means it's never too early to secure your season tickets. From the roar of the crowd, to towels waving to Sandstorm, to the flashing lights after a Carolina touchdown, there's only one place to catch a game, and that's at Williams-Brice Stadium. The experiences you'll have here can't be matched by staying home, so make your plans today to join us in our home for the 2026 season. Visit thegamecockclub.com to check out the various ticket options available for this fall.
If you have nagging arthritis pain that won't go away and nothing seems to help, you may need to consider joint replacement, and that can be a little unsettling. At Midlands Orthopedics and Neurosurgery, we understand and can help put your mind at ease. Our experienced orthopedic surgeons and advanced technology enable our team to deliver consistently excellent joint replacement outcomes with no hospital stay and lower cost to you. Midlands Orthopedics and Neurosurgery.
Jay's Corner is the sweet deal of the week. Beginning Friday at 9 a.m., head to 1075thegame.com. Click on Sweet Deals and grab a $50 certificate to Jay's Corner for just $25. Don't miss out.
And paid for by Adaptive Health.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
I don't care how old or young you are. Life doesn't slow down for anyone. With Nugenix Total T2, the brand new testosterone and nitric oxide boosting formula, I'm keeping up with the kids and finally feeling like my old self again. Now, I've got enough in the tank for whatever life throws my way.
Text STREAK to 215-215 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2. STREAK to 215-215.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
The Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Tyler Head, along with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central. Sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network and on the 1075 The Game app.
Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, West, and Chris with you on your Wednesday here on the Game. There was no midweek game for Gamecock baseball last night. They'll be back in action taking on Alabama over at Founders Park this upcoming weekend. That also is your next opportunity to win the Crescent Construction Grand Slam contest. If Gamecock hitter goes yard with the bases loaded, you could win up to, right now, $150 in cash, and that pot goes up by $25 each and every game. Go to 1075thegame.com and register if you've not already for the Crescent Construction Grand Slam contest. We're obviously talking about this coaching search. We'll continue to do that for basically the next month until we see who they ultimately end up hiring. But Wes made an interesting point there that I wanted to expand on a little bit because I think it's worth diving into this conversation about what this coach is being looked at to do coming in here to Carolina. Because, again, when Ray Tanner retired, Chad Holbrook, rightfully so, was handed the keys to the kingdom at that point to keep it on track and continue to go to Omaha, play for national championships, and all that kind of stuff. That obviously doesn't happen. They move on from him, bring in Mark Kingston, where I think the same kind of expectations were there. Like, hey, we're not that far removed from being the best program in college baseball. We want you to get us back there. He had some success, super regionals, including in his next to last year, but never got you to where you wanted to be. You go and hire Paul Maneri. The expectation and the hope is, hey, this is the guy that can get us back to Omaha, and we thought, or we're hoping, he's going to be able to do it relatively quickly. Doesn't end up happening. Obviously, that's why we're in this situation of having another coaching search 2 years later. Now, the expectation for whoever they hire is still going to be, hey, get us back to being at the top of college baseball, competing for national championships and all that. But I think the pressure to do it as immediately won't be quite there as much as it has been years past because of the steps backwards this program's taken in the past couple of years, it seems like.
Yeah, and I think the league itself has taken a ton of steps forward just in terms of overall talent, the depth you're going to face, and, I think people understand a little bit of, hey, going to the national championship finals, 3 straight years is just not realistic. I think even you have to add in, like, going to Omaha 3 straight years is not really realistic for anybody. And, you can look around the league, and it's just hard to be consistent year in, year out in terms of being one of the teams that's actually competing for the SEC. And there's so many teams in the league now, too, just even based on your schedule from year to year. I think the disparity between the most difficult schedule and maybe a less difficult schedule is probably pretty great. So some of it's just going to depend on a little bit of the luck of the draw. But here's what I think South Carolina fans want to see. They want to be excited about South Carolina baseball again. They want to they want for it to be something they look forward to doing, going to an SEC series at Founders Park on the weekend and feeling like if a top 10 team in the country is coming in, that they're going to be worried about coming here to play, that there's going to be an expectation that you're going to take 2 out of 3 in any series you play at home. Like, I think South Carolina fans, when the program was at its peak, you're not taking a backseat to anybody. Like, that doesn't mean you are not going – it doesn't mean you're going to win every series, but you go into every series feeling like you are going to win it. And to me, it has almost felt like for a lot of people, they're going to these games, frankly, as a little bit of a chore. Like, I've supported this team for so long. Let me go try to continue to support them even though things are bad. I think for a lot of these fans, too, like, I mean, you can see the attendance. Like, you don't even have to know the numbers. Just open your eyes and look. It is not that what it once was. I mean, guys, I even feel like the energy had kind of gone away at the end of the Kingston era. Like, I think I made this point on our forum right after the move was made to get rid of Maneri. I think you use this as an opportunity to audit the entire program, not just the head coach, because I think they need something new. They need something fresh. They need something exciting. I'm not saying you have to go all in like banana ball type stuff, but are there some things you can do for the atmosphere in the stadium to give it a boost? Are there some different traditions you can try to build, new traditions, I should say, that can bring a little bit more excitement? The series late in the Kingston era where they had Georgia coming to town, massive series for South Carolina baseball, and I think was going to basically determine if they hosted or not. You look around, there's kind of just empty seats. Didn't look like it did this year, but there's empty seats. The first SEC series of the Paul Maneri era, empty seats. Like, you need something to completely re-energize this baseball fan base, and I think it even goes beyond who the head coach is.
Yeah, I agree with that. What can you do? Look at football. First of all, this is fortunately what we've seen in baseball is not spilled over to football, and I think there's a lot of reasons for that. Even though people love Gamecock baseball around here, football is just it's a different beast. In the SEC, just the event and the pageantry of the whole thing. But look at some of the improvements that South Carolina has made in the stadium over the past few years. We're going to see more of those in the future. Some of them will be, boring but great things. The concourse is wider, more restrooms. Like, those things matter for the fan experience, but just the lights and different things that they've done with the videos and different things that they've done with the music. Stuff, projecting images onto the field. Like, a lot of those small things make a big difference in the fan experience to where you're like, I want to, I find people all the time that, like, I've never been to an SEC football game. I've never been to a South Carolina football game. And they go, and they may or may not even be a Gamecock fan, but they tend to talk about, wow, that atmosphere was incredible.
Sure.
They may be mad about the game or happy about the game or whatever, but it's the atmosphere. So I think those things matter and are things that can be implemented too. But as we all know, with baseball, what is the prime reason that things have dropped off in terms of fan attendance? Well, it's wins and losses. Like, that's the number one thing. And so that's what you've got to try to get turned around. But I think naturally, if you hire someone and that person, I think we all expect that whoever they hire is going to have some credentials. I think that's something that's really on their mind. Who's done it in the past at particular places has some credentials. It's probably going to excite the fan base. And I think depending on how that goes and how the offseason goes for that coach as they build the program for year one, that's going to naturally lead to more excitement and more fans in the seats.
But even before we knew the Mainieri era was going to just be Control-Alt-Delete, basically, why was it not a packed, raucous house for Game 1 of the Paul Mainieri era? Why was it not a packed, just absolutely crazy environment for the first SEC series of the Paul Mainieri era?
Yeah.
Like, I think it has to go beyond just hiring the guy who brings excitement. I think all the way from how the university, the athletic department markets it, to, like I said, auditing the in-game atmosphere, to the new head coach being someone who's going to want to connect to the fans, who's going to be social media active, who's going to be, you know, you have a Gamecock Club event like there is tonight, I'm there. Invite me to as many Gamecock Club meetings as I possibly can. I want to look these guys in the eye. I want to shake the hands of fans, and I want to tell them that I'm confidently going to fix this and rebuild it from a little bit more of a grassroots effort too. And just, I think, like, Mainieri had the resume, and I think when the hire was first made, there was excitement because you went out and got a guy who'd won a national title. But I don't know if that parlayed over into it. Just there's a certain buzz that stadium has when things are right, and I just don't know that it was there. So the last time I really felt it was, I would say, Ethan going yard against Paul Skeens against LSU, and the place just comes unglued.
Mm-hmm.
That is what and I know you're not going to have that every night. I'm not ignorant, but I do think there are things you can do to try and bring back the excitement there in the stadium.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that came up with, I think if Mainieri had gotten like more early results too, like people would have come around more. Because even though there was some excitement around his hire, there was a little bit of, like, things had already been going south, obviously. That's why there's a coaching change. And then, it just, he didn't get maybe out in front of as many people, to your point, Wes, as he could have. And that's something we heard about Mark Kingston, too, when he was here, is that, he was kind of more of a private guy, which is fine. But, these different things come out about the coaches, like, and they tend to be amplified or not exaggerated, but they're amplified, I think what you could say, if things aren't going well. And so I think you have to, Shane Beamer did a great job with that when he was hired. That was one reason why there was excitement going into his tenure, guys, because, Shane Beamer didn't turn down much of anything when he first got the job at South Carolina. And he was out in front of folks. So that absolutely matters, too. I think it's been just a combination of factors as to why the fan attendance has dropped off. And I'm sure that is on the minds of Jeremiah Donati and the staff and the school.
Yeah, and there's the excitement level, too, because this is a program that, again, was once at the top of college baseball, where you feel like you can go out there and truly hire anybody, right? Like, okay, if Lamont Paris had been fired and we were looking for a new head basketball coach, I think there is a line of what coaches would come to South Carolina and what coaches wouldn't, just based on where the basketball program is, where with Carolina baseball, the sky's the limit. There is nobody that is off the realm of possibility saying, yeah, we could go and get that guy because of where this program is, or where this program at least was. So we'll see what happens. A lot of conversations about this coaching search until we decide who the hire is coming up here in a little over a month. We'll get into some football conversation coming up next. What did Greg McElroy have to say about Lenore Sellers' confidence on his podcast? We'll get to that coming up. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs on your Wednesday on The Game.
All my sports. The Game Network. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 96.9 The Game in Charleston. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
This hour of in-show listening on 107.5 The Game is sponsored by QC Kinetics in West Columbia, the non-surgical regenerative orthopedic specialists of the Midlands. Request your consultation today by dialing pound 250 and use keyword QC Kinetics.
All right, everybody, let's tell you about our friends over at Integrated Media. IntegratedMediaInc.com or 803-948-8327. I'm sure you've heard, but I'm going to reiterate it. They are your true one-stop shop for any of your tech or audio-visual needs, whether it's your home or it's your business. If you're a homeowner, you've been thinking about tricking out that man cave, upgrading your outdoor space. If you're moving and need to move all your tech stuff to your new home, they can handle it for you from start to finish. They can source the equipment, professionally install it. Smart homes, home theater, audio, video, TV installations, even security and cameras that you can control from the touch of a button, whether you're at home in the next room or you're away from home on vacation or at work. Also, conference room solutions where you can hold all your hybrid and virtual meetings at your office. They make it super easy to set up, and it works great. IntegratedMediaInc.com or 803-948-8327.
Hungry for more than just a meal? Head to the Golden Spur, the official restaurant of the University of South Carolina. From juicy burgers and crave-worthy flatbreads to fresh salads, pastas, and seafood, there's something for everyone. Unwind with creative cocktails and Columbia's favorite new Sunday brunch buffet. Whether you're repping Garnet and Black or just exploring downtown, the Golden Spur is your go-to spot. The Golden Spur at 700 Lincoln Street. Reserve now at goldenspurgrill.com.
Looking for a truck dealership that treats you like family? Come to Herndon Chevrolet, your truck headquarters, proudly serving Lexington and the Midlands for over 50 years. Whether you're after a brand new Silverado, a tough pre-owned truck, or expert service, you'll find it all right here with a huge selection and the best truck deals around. There's no better place to shop. Visit HerndonChevy.com or stop by today.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile.
Hey, this is Ray and Nathan with Pope Davis Tire and Automotive.
Last year's Technician Bikini Car Wash was a huge success.
But, unfortunately, Grease Lightning and Piston Pete left us for jobs at the club.
Don't worry, if you are feeling hot, we can still cool you down.
By fixing your car's AC for 30% less than the dealership charges.
And we have an $80 rebate on any set of Michelin or BF Goodrich tires until May 23rd.
Cool down online at PopeDavisTire.com.
Start your spring cleaning with Zerorez. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $109 plus a free hallway. No soap, no residue, no harsh chemicals, just a deeper clean that lasts. Plus, now you can also take $100 off air duct cleaning and breathe cleaner air. Visit ZerorezColumbia.com.
Email hijacking and ransomware are on the rise, and they're targeting your business. Once your data is out there, there's no fix, no reset. Do you know where your business is vulnerable right now? Find out with a cybersecurity audit from IntelliSystems. IntelliSystems is one of the few firms worldwide that's GTIA Cybersecurity Trustmark Assured, meaning the highest global standards. They find gaps before criminals do. Schedule your audit now. IntelliSystems.com.
Learning to drive, getting married, the birth of your children. These are the life-changing events you remember your whole life. I'm Jason Reynolds. A serious injury changes your life too, in a very different way.
I'm Stephen Samuels. At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we get you. We can't erase the injury or change the past, but we can get you through the pain and anxiety and help you on to a brighter future.
We get South Carolina because we're true South Carolina. Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 803-779-4000.
The cost of grad school keeps climbing, and for many, scholarships and stipends don't cover everything. That's where we come in. South Carolina Student Loan has been helping grad students bridge the gap between tuition and reality for years. Whether it's covering classes, books, housing, or other educational expenses, we're here to help. And since we're a not-for-profit, we offer competitive rates to make funding grad school easier. Get the support you need for grad school today at scstudentloan.org.
The Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Tyler Head, along with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central. Sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network and on the 107.5 The Game app.
Welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, West, and Chris with you on your Wednesday here on The Game. Of course, we're still over 100 days away from the season getting started coming up this fall, but a lot of questions to be answered about what South Carolina football is going to look like, and a lot of that revolves around LaNorris Sellers. He'll work with his third different offensive coordinator in his third year as a starter here at South Carolina, that, of course, being Kendall Briles. And one question being asked is, what can Kendall Briles get out of LaNorris Sellers, and how confident can Sellers be back there in the pocket like he was a couple seasons ago? And that's something that Greg McElroy talked about on his podcast earlier on this week.
And if you listen to Shane Beamer, he is really pleased with the progress that's been made by Lenora Sellers. And he also really talked about how important it was for the relationship between Briles and Sellers to continue to be mended, to continue to be long, strong, and to have a really good understanding of how each other think. But here's what I'm curious about. I need to see Sellers in a tight game in September with the game on the line make that throw, not the improvised scramble. I want to see him standing there and throw, because that's kind of what disappeared at times in 2025. That willingness to just trust himself with the ball in his hands, stay in the structure of the offense. Kendall Briles has rebuilt that. If Sellers can come out those first couple weeks and play confident and free, it's a dangerous team. But if there's a little bit of hesitation in there and then the game starts to speed up for him, then it could be another up and down season offensively for the South Carolina Gamecocks.
So it's interesting that you noted there, hey, I need to see it in one of those tight late game scenarios that we've seen him be clutch in, going back a couple years ago that unfortunately didn't happen last year. Are we all waiting to see that in one of those games, or can we be convinced otherwise before that point that, hey, Sellers looked like he's truly returned to form if they're, beating Mississippi State by 30 points or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think every game stands on its own merit to an extent. So you're going to have great games, you're going to have bad games. I think for me, like it's not like, let's not pretend Sellers just didn't have good moments last year. Like there was some really good in there. I just think there wasn't like necessarily the consistency that you want to see from him overall. And then I think some of the O-line play, the lack of a run game, the lack of a willingness to run Sellers himself, I think was, all factors. We've gone through that a ton. I don't think you can see it in one game, but I think after 3 or 4 games, if we're just seeing some like consistent play from 16, then yeah, I think that'll obviously be a pretty strong sign that he's corrected some things and is in a position to go really, really play well the rest of the year. I mean, I kind of will push back on McElroy a little bit. He's almost kind of acting like Sellers can't do it in the clutch. And that's, I would say, especially from his first year as a starter, the opposite of the case. Like we've seen Sellers go out there in big moments and go make plays. I mean, I would actually argue his first year as a starter, he played better in the clutch than he did just in the normal course of a game. You look at the ability to drive South Carolina down the field late in the game against Alabama. You look at the ability to drive South Carolina late in the game against Missouri, twice actually with the game on the line. Of course, the multiple drives late in the Clemson game. I mean, I don't think there's any worry about him not doing things at crunch time. But to McElroy's other point, yes, more consistently, having balance with your footwork, going through the actual progression of a play as opposed to taking off running, all those things are certainly things I think Sellers himself would tell you he's trying to improve.
Yeah, I think, too, one of the points of emphasis this season is going to be, and this is, kind of in Kendall Briles' playbook, literally, is make things easier, like be able to hit the layups a little bit more. It is easy to forget that some of the things that Sellers, like you can forget some of the things he did put on tape last year and just focus on the negatives, the negative plays, the sacks, the holding the ball too long or bailing the pocket too early, like whatever it may have been, because there was some of all of that, missing some throws. There was some really good stuff still in there, but because of the season he had individually on the whole, because of how much the offense struggled, because of a 4-8 record, you forget those things. I saw, Will Helms, who we have on the show, he put out, what some people may consider a scorcher the other day. He said that Sellers' 2025 tape was better than 24. Not sure I agree with that, but he did put some, he still throws a beautiful deep ball. He still makes, remember after that Missouri game, even though Carolina lost, that throw that he made rolling to his left to, I think, Nick Carver, that was just like a not many people can make this throw type of throw. So can you keep that while helping him hit some of those layups? I actually agree with McElroy, like standing in the pocket more. But Kendall Briles' offense, and I think this is one of the reasons why it could be, not to see the results, a good fit, is it's going to help I think Sellers play faster. I think it's going to help him, with not having to be so dependent for not just him, but this offense in total on making a big explosive play. Throwing they were too reliant on explosive plays last year. Have some plays where if the defense is giving you some cushion, zip the ball out there, get 4 yards, live to play another day.
Yep.
Running Sellers more in some instances. Like, those are all the things that you're looking for. And we know the talent's in there. We've seen it a lot. It's just about refining it and making him the best version that he can be.
And to your point, what we know of the Briles offense and similar type of quarterbacks that have played in it, it should allow Sellers to play very free because it's something that should complement his skill set very well. Now, again, Shula kind of said the same thing a year ago that, we're going to make sure Sellers is comfortable and tailor the offense to him. But when we saw it in action, that obviously wasn't the case, and it felt like he was kind of forcing a square peg into a round hole of making him do things that he wasn't comfortable doing, wasn't great at doing at certain times. And again, we know how special of a talent he is. We saw that a couple years ago. You only got potentially this last year with him as your starting quarterback. You want to make sure you get the most out of him for the time that you have him. And again, concepts got to be proven when we see it on the field, but the belief is that Kendall Briles was the right hire to be able to do that with the offense he's going to bring in.
Well, and he's done it, man. I think it's pretty easy to see the track record there with Kendall Briles and, some guys that have maybe not are carbon copies of Lenoris, but there's some overlap really with multiple quarterbacks he's had. You could maybe pull KJ Jefferson does this that Sellers does. Maybe there are a couple things that, Josh Hoover does that Lenoris does. And, I think they're going to I think we've seen a track record too of Briles building the offense around his quarterback skill set. The offense they used at TCU was completely different in a lot of ways than what they tried to do at Arkansas, where really it was more of a balanced offense, but it was certainly a run offense, whereas TCU is more of a throw game and one of those we're going to use quick passes as an extension of our run game type thing. And, so I think there's a lot of confidence that he's going to know how to build this thing. There's a lot of confidence that he understands, he being Briles, the expectations that come along with big boy college football and the need to go ahead and fix this offense pretty quick and score some points. So, I think there is a certain, to answer your question from earlier, there's a certain level to this where people are going to say, yeah, show me. All this sounds good, but show me. Like, and that's fair, but I think you can look for signs. The first bad sign that we all were kind of trying to, I guess, rationalize or explain away last year was the comment about how often do you run Lenoris Sellers, and just the semantics of, what is Shula exactly saying about when and how often they want to run Sellers? And then the more the season went along, we're like, man, it's another goal line opportunity where you did not run the best runner on the team. So what does that mean? And so I don't think there's gonna be hesitation there to go run him. Hey, what is the emergence of somebody like Matt Fuller who continues to create more and more buzz? What does that do for this rushing attack as well? I think is an interesting layer too.
Yeah. Again, obviously we're going to wait and see what happens when the season rolls around. A lot of time to talk about it between now and then. Certainly coming up next, we'll wrap up the hour and talk about what happened with Gamecock softball yesterday at the SEC tournament. That's coming up next. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs here on the Game.
Wow, what a play! The Game Network, Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
Hey, this is Preston here from 107.5 The Game and The Game Network. If you run a diner, bakery, coffee shop, burger joint, pizza spot, or that hidden gem that everybody should know about, how would you like to get the word out about your business without spending a dime? Well, we got you. All you have to do is text your name, your business, your phone number to 803-404-6100, and we'll be in touch. There is no catch. Times are tough, but we're here to help you and your business.
This is a Westwood One Sports Minute.
If I'm the Dallas Cowboys or the Buffalo Bills, I'm on the phone with the Indianapolis Colts to trade for the number 4 overall pick in the 2023 draft, quarterback Anthony Richardson. Buffalo's backup quarterback is Kyle Allen. Dallas's backup quarterback is Sam Howell. For two teams that harbor legitimate Super Bowl aspirations this year, that's not good enough. Anthony Richardson, a worthy roll of the dice for either of those teams. I'm Nick Costos.
Save $2 when you buy 2 cans of Superior Products Coverall tire dressing. Plus, get 4 times O-Rewards points now at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Do you have sagging, soft, or bouncy floors in your home? Well, this could be a sign of rotten wood caused by moisture in your crawl space. Damaged wood in your crawl space can affect your home's foundation, and that can affect your home's value, and nobody wants that. Say goodbye to sagging floors and hello to a stable foundation. Contact Canty today for your free inspection at 803-424-8380 or visit cantycanfixit.com.
Progressive knows you think the grass is always greener, like maybe you ride a motorcycle. But today, it's raining. So you wish you had an RV, but if you did, you'd have to listen to some guy parked next to it at a campsite plays acoustic guitar. Now, before you start wishing you had a boat, remember, your brother-in-law would invite himself every weekend.
Permission to come aboard, Captain?
But one thing that is greener is the money you could save when you bundle your RV, boat, or motorcycle with your home or auto with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Hallmark Cards presents Mother's Day at Walgreens. Celebrate every mother figure in your life with a Hallmark card at Walgreens. Show how much she means to you and how deeply she's loved. A Hallmark card is the perfect way to say thank you for all she does. Don't forget, Mother's Day is Sunday, May 10th. Visit Walgreens today to find the perfect Hallmark Mother's Day card and make her feel truly special. Mother's Day means Hallmark cards at Walgreens.
Injured in a car wreck? Need your check? It's easy. Dial 1-800-ALL-7s now.
The Anastapula Law Firm has been recovering millions for their clients for over 30 years. Whether it's a slip and fall, car accident, or any other issues that have resulted from an accident, Anastapula Law Firm can help. Their South Carolina personal injury attorneys have experience fighting for the rights of their clients. Remember, don't scream. Call Akeem. Dial 800-ALL-7s now.
Herb Glass is responsible for this ad, and cases are handled at 32 Ann Street, Charleston, South Carolina, 29403. Paid endorsement, not actually client. Results may vary.
The Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Tyler Head, along with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central. Sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network and on the 107.5 The Game app.
Welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler West Chris along with you here on your Wednesday, wrapping up the hour here on the game. Real quick, tomorrow we're going to be joined by Kevin Miller, also of Gamecock Central, as guys, he's got a pretty cool book that he's written that he's going to tell us all about.
Yeah, Kevin and Brent Sylvia in conjunction with the HBC, Steve Spurrier. Spurrier Effect, how one coach transformed Gamecock football. Really excited about this. I know from talking to Kev, they have been working hard on this thing for a long time. Tons of time, tons of interviews, tons of writing, editing, all that good stuff. So go to GamecockCentral.com. Actually, if you're a member, you can get an excerpt of a chapter of the book. And it's also available for pre-order on Amazon or through USC Press. So, yeah, very excited to talk to Kev tomorrow about that and just kind of I have some geeky questions on just what goes into writing a book. I've never done it before, but also maybe some cool little backstories, some of the things that he learned, some of the more interesting things that he learned from Steve Spurrier in the course of writing it.
You look like somebody that could write a book. I got
thanks, I guess.
in you.
I don't know. Yeah.
Just got to find the topic for you.
Topic and time would be helpful.
Time's important.
Yeah, I'd love to do it one day, but will I ever? I don't know.
Again, we'll talk to him tomorrow at 11:15 about the process of writing the book and what y'all need to know about it ahead of reading. As I mentioned before the break, Gamecock softball last night in the SEC tournament out in Lexington, unfortunately, is a one and done after they fall to Ole Miss 2-0. Only 4 hits on the game. Had an opportunity there in the bottom of the 6th. Wasn't able to play any runs there despite a really strong outing on the mound by Jory Hurd. And now they await their fate coming up this weekend with Selection Sunday.
Yeah, they'll find out where they're headed, but all but a lock to be a 2 seed on the road somewhere. And, certainly seems like not going to be anywhere too close to home. I guess technically FSU might be maybe the one potential closest place they could end up. But a lot of the projections I've seen have had like Texas Tech last week. This week, I think Softball America has them going to UCLA, which obviously there's some recent history there with the 2 programs. Oregon maybe. Like I think you're talking about a West Coast trip for South Carolina. And, that's kind of just where this thing has been headed for quite some time. I think yesterday's game, unfortunately, a little bit of what we've seen against really good pitchers, just South Carolina couldn't get a lot going offensively. And, I think it was one of those games, too. Credit Ole Miss. I thought they played great defense. And, South Carolina just had several hard-hit balls that were either right at somebody or looked like they might be hits, and Ole Miss just made a great defensive play. So that's really 2 straight teams that I could not be more impressed with their defense. Ole Miss was great defensively. Alabama last week was phenomenal defensively. So, with the way this schedule is played out, I'm sure South Carolina probably going to enjoy not going through an SEC team at the regional. And I'll be curious to see how they match up with opponents that aren't in this league. There's a reason why South Carolina is a good bit below 500, yet is in SEC play, yet is still a top 25 team in all the rankings I've seen. So I think there's some respect for the number of close games they've been in and the schedule they've played. So what will that mean facing some out of conference opponents? I think they have a chance to advance, but we'll see. Obviously, it's going to matter who exactly is in the regional, which we'll find out on Sunday.
Well, and to the point of like UCLA, if they do end up in that regional, a team that obviously they played in the postseason last year and saw once again this year in both of those victories, razor-thin margins. We obviously know what happened with the final couple outs there, in terms of coming up short of going to Oklahoma City last year, and then you lose about 1 run when you go out there in February. So, again, they have the ability to play up to any opponent that they go up against, and it's going to be interesting to see where they shake out. But no doubt it was a lot of ups and downs in year number 2 for Ashley Chastain Woodard, but hopefully that sets you up well for taking on anything in the postseason.
Yeah, you're battle tested. If you're South Carolina, really any SEC school is, except Wes. We were talking about this during the break. Poor Kentucky.
Ooh, rough.
I mean, they're battle tested. They're just
they didn't win.
They have not passed the test.
They were taking the brunt of the beating in those battles, unfortunately.
Yes. And I think I looked it up when we were talking about it yesterday. The amount of 1-run games South Carolina had this year, some of which they won, of course, but I want to say they had 9 losses by 1 run, whether that was SEC play or just in general. That's a lot. And a chunk of those in SEC play. So this is a team that's been, they've done enough to get into the tournament, which is the key. Would you love to host? Absolutely. Is it tough to, one of Softball America's projections had them going, this is before yesterday's SEC tournament result, but, number 2 seed in Los Angeles Regional against UCLA, and then you've got 2 more teams from California out there, if that projection holds, Cal State Fullerton and Cal Baptist. So you're on kind of the wrong end of the country, so to speak. But this is a team in UCLA that you played. You had a really tough loss. They scored, 5 runs in the bottom of the 7th. But you were there, and this is a team that's been competitive all year. For them, it's just about getting over that hump. Being able to win some of these close games are going to be key, in the tournament, because you're probably going to get in some of them. So yeah, it'll be fun to watch, see where they go.
Yeah, again, Selection Sunday coming up this week, and we'll find out where they're going to be playing the regional action, again, likely as a 2 seed. And obviously, we'll try to hopefully get Coach Chastain Woodard on again to kind of preview everything and obviously recap this season. That again, in terms of SEC, it's a lot of ups and downs, but still looked at as one of the better teams in the nation that hopefully can have another deep postseason run and maybe finally get over that hump of Oklahoma City this time.
Yeah, and I think they're a little bit of the victim of their own success last year. You know, by overachieving last season, you automatically, the expectations gets raised this year, and then it's like, well, hey, what happened? What's wrong with the team? And I think everybody has to remind themselves, like, they are still building towards what they hope to eventually be. But this team has talent. They have a great pitcher in Jory Hurd. Emmer Friedel has been really good down the stretch, too. Like, I think they're going to be a tough out for anybody.
We'll certainly look forward to that. Again, we'll try and get Coach Chastain Woodard on here soon to preview all that coming up before the regionals get started. That'll do it. The Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Halftime show with Scott Hamilton coming up next here on your Wednesday on The Game.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or